So much for sober April. Huh?
What's up, everybody? This is our new podcast, The Podcasting Coach. We got Karm Manhas here, my coach. We got Alex here, my usual co-host.
Alex.
Partner in crime.
Hello.
And this is episode 2 of The Podcasting Coach. How you guys doing?
Doing good. It's the podcasting couch. That's what we're calling it?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, you guys are on the casting coach.
The casting couch.
Yeah. We're going to have to film a behind the scenes after.
Yeah, I like it. You got a second camera going, or is that just for show?
I do. I have the GoPro going as well today, so maybe we'll use that footage if it looks as nice as it did
You
last
just
time.
edit it in later? Or does it actually go to your program?
It doesn't go to the program, but I just kind of throw it on the computer, and then I take the audio from this and toss it over that, and it should be just fine.
Hey, right on.
It should be better quality than our normal camera here, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Right on. Right. Well, what have you been up to? I haven't seen you in a couple weeks.
Well, normally I'd be training with Karm in the mornings a couple times a week, but I've been missing class for a little bit. I've been a little lazy.
Right, you do that like early morning, hey?
Yeah, 7 a.m., 7 till 8.
Okay.
And Karm kicks my ass. I kick his ass a little bit. He whoops our ass with the training, though, like cardio-wise. Like, go, 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 go. Just red line all the time.
Who's all there? Just you two?
There's a couple kids that'll show up. These like
Okay.
young 15-year-old kids.
We got my teens. I'm trying to help out.
It's an actual class that's open to the gym?
No, I promised
It's like a private.
one of the dads is away. His kid was having problems. The other kid's had a tough life, but you
Yeah.
can tell he's going to be a good fighter.
That's what it takes.
Yes.
No kids waking up in silk sheets, right?
Need some struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember some adults asking me like, "Oh, I want my kid to fight like you." I was like, "Well, you better start like beating him or like go back 10 years and don't give him breakfast so much."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're spoiling him too much. He can never be a champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible, but it's just that chip on your shoulder is what drives you.
Yeah.
That's what gets you to the gym when you don't feel like going. It's that, fuck that, I'm going to prove everybody that I am worth something. Yeah. So whatever, that's cool.
Yeah, buddy. It's a good class. I get one-on-one training with Karm here. It's the best training that you can get when you go to that gym, Instead of doing a whole class where they're just like barking out orders, it's like one-on-one with Karm essentially. So
Cool.
especially during jiu-jitsu, that helps a lot. And been enjoying that. How am I doing, Karm?
You're doing great. You're huge.
Huge.
It's a challenge.
You got to be 260 now, hey, Jay?
I'm like, exactly 260 today. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Yep.
That's a heavyweight for you.
I lost 5 pounds in the last week.
Right on. I find myself fluctuating 5 pounds daily.
Yeah, no, I
From
only go
morning
by
to night or something, or day to day.
I only go by my weight in the morning, like when I'm empty.
Right.
After the morning poo.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disheartening to keep weighing yourself and like, I don't do it every morning like that. So then you see, you're like, oh my God, I am much more than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And then you put the beer down for a few hours and you're fine.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, then there's times where I just for fun, weigh myself before bed. And I'm like 10 pounds heavier than I was in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy fuck. I got to stop eating.
It's hard. I've been doing squats holding my baby.
There you go.
You're going to hold her anyways, right? You might as well do something.
Yeah.
And she won't let you just like put her down and go over and grab weights and do stuff. She'll come up and lift me.
You got to use her like a kettlebell.
Yeah, no, I do. And then she likes to lay back and watch TV upside down. She's held in my arms, but she'll go whoosh and throw her neck backwards and watch TV. It's so awkward to hold her like that. But if you can do some squats there, it's basically like an off-balance kettlebell. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's one way to get it in. Like lately I've been doing push-ups randomly just throughout the day. And man, it's been so long since I did push-ups, and like the first 10, like you're almost like getting the rust off yourself. It's like it's so hard. The next 10 are way easier. But
But when you're just like, oh, I should really do these, and then you get down to do some, it's sorening. Yeah.
Sorening. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Painful. Yep.
I really need to do more, but the only time I'd have is either early morning or late night.
Oh,
Everything else, and it's temporary. This'll change, but late night after like this time, or like you guys 7 a.m. or something, right? I'd have to do one or the other.
Yeah. 7 a.m. is too early for a podcast, I think, unless we're doing a morning show.
Oh, no, I mean working out.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of walking the family, putting her in a little wagon, dragging it around, right? It's working out, but it's not like you're not sweating.
Yeah, but you gotta. I watched a program and learned about a naturalist.
What's that?
It's like a person, they don't even have beds and sofas.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't have a car.
Like the Liver King. They're
Yes.
trying to be...
Is that what the Liver King does?
Well, he sleeps on a plank on his floor or something, he always said. He was lying about everything.
He was lying about a lot of stuff. I bet you
Yeah.
he doesn't. But, as long as you can sleep on your back, I don't think it's that bad for you. I have a friend who has, like, scoliosis slightly, and if his back's, like, really hurting, he just sleeps on the floor.
Okay.
And he said that's how he gets, like, the best sleeps.
That's what I'm saying. Everything is natural. But out of there, it's pretty interesting. What I recommend you try, I totally recommend you do it. I told my brother to do it as well. He's a young baby. Is to take the baby is designed to cling.
Yeah.
So you just, like, literally work out. I used to run with a Kosh, like run.
Right.
And after a while, he just rides you like a horse, and I would actually use him like a kettlebell, like actually swinging him around. And he loved it. It was a bit of a fun for him. He can run over and do it again. In between, you get a couple burpees in.
Yeah.
Get your workout on.
Yeah.
Boy.
Oh God. My girl is 35 pounds. She's a big girl.
She's not even 2 yet?
She's not even 2. She'll be 2 in 4 months or
She's
something.
huge, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to beat everyone in jiu-jitsu when she gets older.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She's probably going to be close to 6 feet. I don't know. This is about the time where the science says you can double her height, and that's going to be her adult height. And she's not quite 3 feet. She's just under. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. A big girl. And Cassandra's whole family is like 5 foot, maybe 4 at the tallest. Yeah, so she'll be the big one.
And your family's not super tall either, eh?
My dad is.
Your dad is? Oh,
My mom's really short, yeah.
somehow I'm the tallest one in my entire family. Like, taller than my dad, my mom, their siblings, everyone. They got some tall genes, like somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, now with summer coming out, I can do a lot more. It was hard in the winter, and you need to walk the dog, or else he's going to be annoying as hell.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you have to go out there. You have to bundle the girl up, and she doesn't keep mitts on her hands or anything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like a constant battle of putting her hood up, getting the blanket over her hands, and everything. There's no like working out with her much at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you just keep it up, keep going. I know at the end I'm going to miss it. Right now it's annoying and it's hard and everything, but you know that you're going to miss all these times and look back at it fondly, so don't let it break you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah. And it's so hard in the moment when the girl won't sleep and you're like, oh my God, it's nap time. If you don't have a nap now, you're going to be up till like midnight.
So you're still babysitting all day while Cass is at work, and then are you going to work like later on in the day anymore?
If I have some jobs for evenings, I do, or else it's just weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to line up some jobs for evenings, right?
Yeah.
So it works out. Ultimately, it's just drag my feet, wait for this period to end, and then get back to work. It's hard. It's hard to sit still and not do something. I've been just productive my entire adult life, at least, and it's almost like that's a distraction. Staying productive is distracting you from your just like drinking or doing drugs or something. You're distracting yourself from internal problems or like stuff that you haven't worked out, right? That you would go see a therapist for. It doesn't matter if you stay busy as hell. So then when you stop, you get like anxiety.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's springtime and this is when jobs start and everyone's looking for contractors. And I'm just like, I need to do something. But no, you just sit there and stew in it.
If you want to, like, so you don't have much work coming in right now because you're obviously not looking really either, eh?
Not looking. I do have one job that was just waiting for me over the winter. So there are actually two. There's jobs like that are patiently waited all winter because it needs to be spring to do these things. And then now that I need to wait a little longer, they're just as patient. So luckily that works out. But it's like there's always this scarcity mindset in contracting to where you don't know where the next job's coming from. And if you're not actively out there hustling, looking for it, it feels like you might as well be doing heroin.
I know exactly what you mean.
Right?
Even though I get like a lot of my work from the shop, as soon as it gets a little slow there, I'm like,
get anxiety.
A little bit, but I'm like, okay, I need to start like messaging all the contractors and like construction companies, seeing if they need a floor layer. Like, I get flooring for cheaper at my dad's shop, so I've been thinking about it, like calling these places and being like, hey, like, not only can I do your flooring, but I can get you flooring for a cheaper price than you're gonna get anywhere in town. Like, use that to my advantage, and that's like next on my list. Right now, I'm booked for a while still, so I'm good, but got some decent jobs coming up. But I was going to say, I finished my online marketing course, so I know how to advertise like a business like yours online, and that's technically what I'd be good for. Yeah. And
I'd really like to do something like that.
Hell yeah.
But
so
it's just right now it's so taxing. There's so many things looking at me like, give me attention. Yeah. And I've never had that before in my life. And all of a sudden it's just like, oh my God, I should be working right now. I should be like providing, right? But no, you just sit there.
Yeah, it's got to be tough, especially like, Cass is out there working, and you're like, well, I want to do something too.
I want to do something, but I mean, and I don't mean to disparage her job, but I make like double what she does, right? So it's kind of just, it's like nails on a chalkboard when you think about the logistics, but nothing with raising a kid should be boiled down to numbers. Right. It's because that's when you start throwing humanity out the window.
Especially 0 to 7.
Yeah, right. Okay.
That's when all the programs are written.
Right. And if I'm just anxious and worried, she's going to grow up anxious and worried. And that's my ultimate goal, is to avoid that.
Yeah, got to stay calm and collected.
That's why I'm not putting her in daycare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, then there is benefits to that too, like just her getting used to loud noises and not keeping her from it. But there's obviously a time and a place, a certain time to start doing all that. And look at this cat.
The cat, is he standing on the keyboard?
The cat is fucking shit up. As long as he doesn't stop the recording, we're good.
Right.
It's weird. Whenever I do a podcast,
he needs to be part of it.
Yeah.
And then other than that, he wants to leave us alone.
Yeah, no, if like he doesn't come down here and start meowing if I'm not doing a podcast. Like, he'll just sit down and go to sleep. But it's like, as soon as he sees like the headphones on and stuff, he's like, oh, I need to be a part of this.
It's my time to shine.
And like,
I'm ready for my close-up.
The one podcast, he was like ripping feathers out of this, and I like smacked him, and like, just if people were to watch all these like recorded episodes, they just see me beating my fucking cat all the time.
Animal control shows up. Yeah.
I love my cat. I don't hit him that hard. Hell yeah.
But your son's been winning tournaments, I heard, Karm.
Yeah, he's been doing really amazing, actually. Yep.
How old is he now?
He's going to turn 11 on the 14th.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
What are you doing for his birthday?
He wants to have a basketball birthday.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. You're like, well, I got a fighting gym, but let's go rent a basketball court.
I think he's done it for every time, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's always at the gym, so.
Oh, at your gym, right? Yeah. And now you're just going to go to a high school or a public
Whatever
court?
you want. We went to the Connaught Youth Center.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Cool, man. That's something to look forward to for me. I wish I had like I wish I had a son so that my skills were more useful. Having a daughter, my skills are not useful at all. And then everything else, I'm glad I had a daughter.
Oh, your skills are useful once your daughter or girlfriend are threatened.
Yeah.
Then your skills come in
Right,
handy.
right.
Then you're important.
In 20 years when I'm it's like 60. But yeah, it's odd for me to project into the future and think how it's going to be, because I'm only used to one guy. I didn't have siblings or anything like that, right? But that's interesting. And how old's your younger kid?
He's 8.
8. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Is he like in training too?
Yep. He wasn't as much. I could tell because he texts like, "Hey, Dad, what time is it?" And it's like, well, because you wouldn't ask that. So I'm just happy that he's there with me, and then he's doing it. So I don't pressure him at all or anything.
You think he's going through the motions more than anything?
No, not anymore. He did a couple of tournaments, so he's into it, but he's not like a gosh.
Akash is into it, yeah.
He wants to be a martial arts instructor because my dad does it.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
Cool,
yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd really like to get back to it all and stuff. It's just so much going on right now. Insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. What age do you think your kids started?
4.5.
4.5. Yeah.
But I don't start kids that young. But
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. My girl's 1.5, so it's a far ways away, I think. Yeah.
You can hold pads for her.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You start with wrestling. It's natural. Very, very natural.
She loves to like crawl around me and like get tossed around and stuff. I don't really throw her up and catch her or anything, but she loves to like get thrown on my shoulder and crawl around and my neck and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think she'll like it a lot. But yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot of learning. A lot of learning patience, I think, is the main thing for me. Yeah.
Hell yeah. She's learning, you're learning. Speaking of learning, though, Karm wants to teach us about how space isn't real.
How real is space, Karm?
Karm was telling me space isn't real.
I never said
I think
that.
it's a
That's
giant
Bryce
liquid.
Yeah. There is some things, though, that are, like, it doesn't make any sense, but.
No.
Yeah.
It's just so far out there. How can you trust them?
There's so many things that are, like, we're talking about the Challenger.
Mm-hmm.
They never once ever. We never had TV. My dad never had a TV.
Yeah.
So when they were gonna let us watch TV at school, I was like so pumped.
I loved those days, dude.
We're gonna watch Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, as soon as they roll that TV in with the VHS. Oh man, that was a good day.
You get to waste some time too.
Yeah.
Like, we don't got to do any work.
Even if you're not interested in what they're playing, it's like sweet.
No.
You just get to watch TV today.
I remember we were watching Anne Frank, Diary of Anne Frank, and I had sniffles or something. I had to sniff real hard, and people like thought I was crying. Like looked like, "Are you okay?" No, it's kind of rough what happened to her, but
I just heard the other day her diary apparently was written with a pen that did not exist back then.
Fake.
It's like some sort of ballpoint pen that did not exist in that year.
Yeah.
So weird. Now, who would make something up like that?
Goddamn NASA. Do you see Argentina released files saying that Hitler escaped to them after World War II?
Yeah. Which is really interesting because there's a mountain in Argentina where all these blonde-haired, blue-eyed
there's lots,
Well, because the Nazis did escape to there. So if Hitler did escape to there, that would be very believable because so many other Nazis did. You can go up the one mountain and it's just blonde hair, blue eyes. Well,
they knew that Nazis in particular escaped there because there's colonies of German-speaking blonde-haired, blue-eyed people with swastikas on their walls and stuff.
No, absolutely.
No, there is. There's this documentary called Hunting Hitler. The UFC fighter was the Green Beret guy, Tim Kennedy.
That's the one.
He was the host of this, and they went all around the world hunting Hitler for the History Channel, and this was like probably 10 years ago or something.
Really? I
but
thought it was a little sooner, but
well, I don't know. But I read it in his book, and that means it came out a while ago if he was writing about it in his book. But
fair enough.
They went to the actual neighborhoods. He went in and interviewed these descendants of Nazis, and by the end of it, one of them like kind of broke down and went and got his father's Nazi uniform and gave it to Tim Kennedy. Said, "I don't want this anymore." He's like ashamed of it. like by the end of his interview. Yeah. So that, like, it's proven that the Nazis did get there. It's just,
Oh yeah.
they just released files saying that Hitler himself escaped.
And so it's very believable to me just knowing that those Nazi communities there do exist. Like,
right.
call them Nazi or former Nazi, just German communities up in those mountains that literally formed from Nazi, what would you call them? Escapees. I don't know. They escaped the punishments of the war.
It's like the opposite of a refugee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not even a defector, because they didn't leave. Like, I think they left after the war was over, but yeah.
Right. So I apparently, I don't know how this is proven, but Hitler lived till the 1960s and fathered multiple children under different names. And so, I mean, if that's something that the American government's been lying to us for 80 years, why are we going to believe space, huh?
Well, they got the thing with that is they got these cameras. They got the camera. The story doesn't match their technology, where you can have civilian technology and see 100 kilometers, and they give you a mathematical equation size of a chalkboard. Mm-hmm. And now then they got a reason for that. They had an equation that's a refraction of the water, and although you can't bend water, it's not possible. You've never done it. But anyways, nonetheless, now they have this new camera, this black field mic. This is, again, as time goes on, technology, and you can see even further, 400 kilometers. Mm-hmm. And they can see, wait a minute, you can see across the sea.
Right, right.
Perfectly, well, it's right there.
I kind of think, there's a lot of information out there that suggests that they didn't land on the moon.
Or the moon's hollow.
I think that we did land on the moon back then because the whole world was watching. China, Russia, it was a race to the moon. So unless you're saying the whole world was working together even back then, like, they're all in on this lie, then I think, it has to be real to a certain extent because, like I said, it was a race there. They want
just like the real pandemic. You mean?
Well, this is we're also talking about
whole world.
Also talking about years later. But that being said, the footage to the moon landing I think is fake. That is fake. There's no air in space. There's so many things about it that just show that it's fake.
You heard the reason why they're not coming back, right? Do you know why they never went back?
Oh, they lost the technology.
And there's
there's an alien base in the hollow moon, and they told them don't come back because you're gonna ruin our whole terraforming process here.
Don't come back unless you have some hot earthlings.
There was a guy, Danny Jones podcast this week, I think, that came out, and there was community notes on the post and everything on X saying this is completely fake, but obviously, they're gonna say that. So he says the moon is hollow and it's so irregular that it was most likely built, like constructed. There's rarely ever a perfectly spherical moon. And not only that, there's rarely ever a tidal locked moon. You know how the moon doesn't spin, it's constantly facing one face towards us.
That's like
These
a
are
1 in a million
anomalies
chance
in space.
Yeah.
Not only that, and its spherical appearance, it's exactly 1/400th the size of the sun, and it's 1/400th the distance to the sun. That's why we have a perfect lunar eclipse, whereas most moons will completely blot out the sun or just be a little dot.
It's almost as if
as if it was built.
A higher power created it.
On top of that, the speed that it goes is irregular. Usually moons are going faster, and if that moon wasn't there doing that, our days would be about 6 hours. Our Earth would spin faster than it does right now.
Really?
So that's why people are saying, and who knows, fucking grain of salt with all this, but that's why people are saying that the moon is purposely built to terraform this Earth into something livable for humans or anything, not just humans, but because it's kind of taking extreme weather out of the equation, right?
So do you believe that humans came from Mars?
Yeah, obviously.
You do?
Duh. There was a nuclear explosion on Mars like 100 million years ago, And
300 million.
oh, sorry.
Come on. Know your history, man.
666.
No, actually, I don't know exactly what happened there. But the remote viewers, what is it, Operation Stargate?
Yeah.
You know, the
There's been a
remote
lot
viewers said that humans used to live on Mars, and then they fled Mars and came to Earth. And you just think if they had technology to do all that, they would probably be the ones that made the moon, and you think they would have made a moon for Mars. But
and I've heard remote viewers saying they tried to get into like Antarctica,
and they got kicked
and
out.
they got kicked out by like way more powerful remote viewers.
No, but then she snuck back in and went around the guy and went into the room, and it was two guys
I couldn't remote see that.
Remote viewing together that like kicked her out of there.
She saw their slumped bodies or something. I saw that.
They were just sitting in a room together, like right next to each other.
But they were remote viewing, so they were like, is what I heard.
But they were combining
Again,
themselves
people,
or something.
of
So which is what like. Yeah, this is her account, not like I. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know her name, but yeah, see all sorts of stuff on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
We tried the remote viewing way back in the day through VCR tapes. They would have it in the military magazine.
Major Ed Dames.
Yes,
he's the one that I got my information from, and I successfully did it once.
Yeah, we tried. Oh, yeah. With the dick pills and then beside the breast, and it would have the most secret thing. Check this shit out.
Remote viewing's real, man.
Yeah,
I know it's real. I successfully did it once, not on the level that these other people do it, but
why'd you come back?
Well, I did
stay there.
There's two different times that it kind of happened. So the first time I was like, I must have been 16. I was listening to Coast AM with Art Bell, and Major Ed Dames was the guest, and I had heard him on the show before, and I don't know if it was a repeat or what, but he was saying how to do it. How to do remote viewing. He's like, you need complete silence. You need to close your eyes. You need to be in a dark room, like especially if you're just starting. Like if you're, new to this, you need it needs to be like sensory deprivation essentially. So I got some like earplugs and I got a blindfold to put over my eyes because the first night I tried, I couldn't do it. I lived in I lived with my parents back then, and I slept downstairs. Everyone else is upstairs. So it was really easy to get away from all the noise once everyone was sleeping. But I needed that extra little, like it was hard to like keep my eyes closed. And so anyways, I put like a blindfold on. I put earplugs in. And he says to picture like a pendulum swinging back and forth and to focus on that. You have to quiet your inner voice. And it's a lot harder than you think, like to just like have a quiet mind. So the trick is, you picture a pendulum and just like focus on that in your brain. And it, after a while you get better at like turning your voice off. And so I did that for about an hour. Like it took a long time. And after that, eventually I got to a point where I felt like I was standing inside my head. Like all of a sudden it was just like, boom, I'm there. And I'm like, whoa, like what the fuck? And so, he said you could like learn anything, you can do anything. And so like I was really unprepared for it. So I'm like in my head. This is almost like when I look back, it's more like a form of meditation than anything. And so I didn't know what to even like do. I was just like, all right, show me something I'm going to see tomorrow. And I literally felt like I was standing in my head looking at like the void, like all the answers could possibly be there. And I was like, show me something I'm going to see tomorrow. That was the first thing I could think of. And I saw two pictures of the Statue of Liberty, one full picture like this, and then one of just like the chest and up, like zoomed in, and it had like fire all around it. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, I don't think it's going to like, get torched tomorrow. And then the next day, I'm at my dad's, I used to work at my dad's shop, and the secretary, she went for lunch, and when she came back, she had one of those big like calendars that sit on the desk. And on either side of it was those pictures of the Statue of Liberty.
On fire?
No, it had a fiery design, like this orange, like fiery looking design all around it. Because it wasn't on fire. It was just around it.
Yeah.
And then so I saw those and I was like, holy shit. And I'm like, who do I tell about this? They're going to think I'm fucking crazy, right? And so like I, kind of told them here and there, but I'm like, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I saw this last night. Like I predicted this. Like, so that was pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
And then the other time, because a lot of the remote viewing we hear about sounds a lot like astral traveling. So it must be like the same thing. Astral traveling is when you leave your body. And
yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, they say.
I think that's the same thing. But
Well, that's because when we hear about these like professional remote viewers, they're doing what astral travelers describe as,
yeah, I couldn't.
There's like a
think of
tether, because there's always a tether they talk about. All of them talk about a tether. It's like at your belly button. And one night, this is like 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago now, I was in bed. I had a nap earlier that day. And I really needed to like get to sleep. I'm like, I need to fucking sleep because I work like really early tomorrow. So it was like 1 a.m. and I'm still wide awake. And so I'm like, okay, sometimes when I can't sleep, I use the relaxation techniques I learned like from the remote viewing stuff. So I was just like, okay, relax my whole body. And I was just laying there wide awake, like could not sleep at all. And then all of a sudden I felt tingly like all over, like I was going to pass out. And that's happened to me before, and I was like, and I fight it. And this time I was like, man, I need to fucking sleep. So maybe if I pass out, I'll just stay asleep till the morning or something. Like maybe this will help me out. So I fucking let it happen. And when it happened, I fucking fell out of my body. And fucking, I was in my room looking at my fucking body, and my body had like this purplish like cloud over it. And everything looked like, when they portray like purgatory in movies, like it's just kind of dull, like a darker color. It's like everything's still there, but it's almost like grayer. That's what it looked like. And I was just like floating around in my room. And when I closed my eyes, I would see a white background with the most colorful bubbles, like the brightest colors I've ever fucking seen. And then I'd open my eyes and I'm like, I'm still here. Like, what the fuck, man? And like, I was like, my body's here. And I was like right beside it. And I started to move up. And when I moved up, like, just a couple feet above my body, I started to get this like uncomfortable pull on my belly button. Like if someone was like pulling from the inside of my belly button. I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. And everything felt so intense. And I was like, I need to like go back to my body. I was like, for all I know, I'm having a stroke right now. Like I'm dying. Like I don't know. Right. So I like, my body's here and I go back down to it and I just like go past it. And I'm like trying to like center in on my body, but I'm like going like past it every time. I'm like having a hard time stopping right on my body. And finally I kind of get it, because you don't just like lock in. Mm-hmm. And then I just barely open I close my eyes and I open them, and it was like real life. Like I opened my eyes and then they just closed right away and I fell back out of my body. I did that 3 times. Every time my eyes stayed open for a bit longer. On the 3rd time I was like, there and locked back into my body, and I was like, holy shit, like I want to do that again, man. And so the next night I tried all fucking night and I couldn't do it. I stayed up all fucking, I was like addicted to it like a drug. It was crazy, and I haven't really tried it much since.
You got banned?
I got banned from the shadow realm. So yeah, that's my remote viewing journey. I've always wanted to like take the time to try it again, but like I don't know, as much as I liked it, it's a lot of work to like get to that point, and like a lot of time, right, and right. Like sometimes when I can't sleep I'll try, but I haven't been able to get back to it.
Right. We had some monks spend lifetimes just sitting there meditating, right? I don't know if that's what they're trying to do, but it takes a long time to be able to shut your brain up. Yeah. Especially when you're growing up and you're like trying to learn and get a career and worry about finances and doing drugs and like,
yeah,
right?
To turn your those monks, at least they don't have to worry about so much. But yeah, fucking with all that shit on your mind. For a
16-year-old kid in Canada, like there's a lot of distractions for you.
Yeah, and that was just the first time. Like I said, last time was like 8 years ago, maybe. So like 2017, around then.
Oh yeah.
And I told my mom, she's like, oh, you should talk to your uncle. Like, he had an out-of-body experience back in the day. And I'm like, oh, I guess it runs in the family or something. Maybe we got, like, shamans back in the day in my family. Who knows?
Yeah, I think so.
But I do heavily believe in that stuff,
Well, the elite types, Hollywood actors, and they often talk about this similar thing you're talking about. They say something else comes in. And psychics.
Oh, that's right.
The psychics, they basically are doing a similar thing as the remote viewers. And the remote viewers use a good explanation was, maybe it's the case. It's your body. It's the internet.
Right, yeah.
It's like there's the internet of consciousness, and your body
that they're just tapping into, and you're not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I used to not believe in the psychics and stuff. And one time it wasn't even like a business that I went to. My friend just said, hey, you got to come meet this lady, and brought me to her house. I didn't pay her anything at all. And he told me like she sees stuff, like she can like read your future, not your future, but she can just like see things that we don't. So I sat down there and she could tell me like the injuries I had in my body. And it wasn't like I was limping, but I had like a sore knee, and she's like could point that out and say your knee's sore, and like tell me like I would tell her about my life, and she could see like, oh, that's like a dark thing. You shouldn't be doing that. Right. And I didn't explain who I didn't introduce myself overly at all. She could tell me exactly who I was and everything. It was really weird. And I didn't pay her a dime. Right. And she's dead now. But it was this old native lady. And I can't remember her name at all. But we just went to her house, and she does it for everyone for like party tricks, I guess. And I didn't have money on me.
You're the second person I've met that has had like an experience like that with a psychic, like that accurate. My buddy Sean went to a psychic. His girlfriend set the meeting up, and she was going there for her own meeting, and he was just accompanying her. And the psychic started talking to him. She's like, "Yeah, your grandpa just died, and he taught you this and that, and like she knew everything about him." Yeah. It ended up being, I was more impressed with what she knew about him. Like,
that's just it, right? And then, I mean, there's obviously some swindlers out there that are like taking advantage of crying people when their dog dies or something, right?
Yeah, there's cold reading. There's a lot of people, because there's so much stuff on social media now. Yeah. They'll do research on you. That's why like you have to book an appointment a certain amount of time in advance, and like there's a lot of fakers. It
was really odd, and I go into this stuff very skeptic, and eye rolling. My mom always did like tarot cards, and I would just roll my eyes all the time at her and be like, "What do you think, you're like psychic or something?" Look at this. But then this lady just laid it all out on the table.
It's in the show.
Yeah, and she said she could like see my aura, and she could like see my body without clothes on or any, and like into my body.
Oh.
And like see like muscles and bones and stuff if she wanted to.
Crazy.
Said she could do it since she was 3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's, you kind of almost like, it's hard to not believe something like that. As skeptic as I am about like 99% of that stuff.
I mean, just that sentence alone, it's easy not to believe. But when she could tell me that my knee was injured, and it's like, it wasn't to the point where I was walking in with a cane limping. It was just like kicking too hard or something. It just got sore, and totally.
Remote viewing they spend billions of dollars, military.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't if it was fake, right?
I was talking about
100% real.
Operation Stargate earlier. That was a CIA experiment where they hired like the best remote viewers to look into these things and like go look at Mars and stuff like that.
Up until the Iraq War with Bush, I remember they released, hey, we're spending billions of dollars, and it's like no one questions it. They're giving billions of dollars to psychics.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the remote viewing had some amazing, like, you could call him, he would do a free show, and then people would call from across the world, some lady from Australia or something, my daughter's
right.
Exactly.
Well, they made a movie about this too.
Where under the tree, this has happened. There was this person. Yeah, he did it this way. He chucked a knife over there. Just the probability that's like zero.
They could locate things.
Right.
Yeah, zero. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you said something earlier, the way some of the people are doing it, they're bringing things in. They're back with them. And, there's like dark entities. Once that like out-of-body experience happened to me and I was talking to more people about it, like I wouldn't get first-hand accounts from people themselves, but a lot of people I knew someone who had done it, and they'd be like, yeah, like, don't do that when you're drinking or if you're smoking weed. They're like, don't go in there intoxicated. Like, you'll bring something back with you. And the one guy was like, the one guy's story was that he could go out and about. He would go out exploring and stuff, and he was at the edge of this cliff, and there was this like entity there, and he's like, hey, come with me. I'm a magician.
Right.
And he's like, nope.
I got some candy.
Went home. Time to go home.
I gotta go.
But you have like a tether, so you can always find your way back.
Right.
Like, but I've heard like if your tether gets cut, it's not that you get lost, but like it fucks with you. I don't know how it affects you, but it's like a big deal. And there's so many stories and accounts of like people doing this shit, and it's got to be real.
Right.
I mean, I've done it. I know it's real.
I followed an author, James Wessel. We met him through a music festival. He was doing a psilocybin conference. He does all across the world, all the DMT conferences, everything. I bought his books and his programs, ran him to a few years, and a lot of that something similar type thing happens, a high dose of psychedelics.
Oh, okay.
One time I did a lot of mushrooms and I had a really bad time. It was not really similar.
What a bad time.
But I've heard, if you microdose acid, it really opens your brain up. And I like to microdose mushrooms. I find like I get good benefits from that. Like I can, like if I'm going to a party, I'll have like just a little piece of mushrooms. And it's not a psychedelic in any way, but I feel like it just like opens up my mind. I can sit there and talk about anything with anyone all fucking night and have like an intelligent conversation, be very coherent, even if I'm drinking, if I'm microdosing mushrooms.
Everyone's doing that now.
Yeah.
I know several doctors and lawyers and all kinds of people that would contact me all the time for questions about that stuff.
You're the expert.
I have had some expertise in that. Yeah, we had a friend and they used to do their ayahuasca ceremonies out of an old church here in town.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Yep, my wife's done a dozen times. She lost her mind one time actually. I was there. It was crazy.
What was the most profound experience you had doing that?
Actually, it wasn't that. I did what was called ayahuasca.
Oh no.
Yes.
What, you mix acid with it?
No. My ayahuasca is this guy out of Scandinavia or somewhere in Europe. He came up with the concept. I was like, well, this is what they do with ayahuasca. It's the two plants, right? It's the leaf and the vine. Well, one's an MAOI.
Yeah, one of it like neutralizes the thing in your stomach.
Exactly.
That makes it so
Inhibitor.
you can't.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So you can actually absorb the DMT from the other plant.
Yeah, so you can do this with several things. With you just need MAOI when you take your psilocybin.
Mm-hmm.
So we did with Syrian root. Now, since then they made it illegal, and Syrian root is one of the top ways to get DMT extracted from it. It's interesting because that's where the magic carpet
In Aladdin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they use on those carpets.
Oh,
crazy. Yeah, it's weird how it's all kind of tied in, but whatever. Anyways, it's kind of interesting. And what you do is the guy recommended a higher dose, and because it makes you kind of pukey. Yeah. It's like ayahuasca. So 1 gram is about 5 grams.
Yeah.
So I did 5 grams.
Wow.
Because I wanted to hit ayahuasca dose.
And how'd that go?
With under that, because 5 grams is supposed to be 5 dry grams is supposed to be the heroic dose, but this would be 25 grams. And it was more powerful than ayahuasca. I did it in the same building in the basement as you were talking when you guys were just telling your story, and that same thing happened to me with that, and I could see like the Matrix.
Right.
Yeah, I was in the basement, lights are off, and I could see like everything here.
Yeah.
The lights are off, so I have to blink my eyes. I could see it without. It was dark, but I could see there's something there.
I know there's something
now
there.
Look, it's a garbage can.
That's because your pupils get this fucking big when you do that.
Well, I was like staring there, but you could see I could see the Matrix.
Vision like a cat.
I swear to God, I could see the energetic pattern. It actually lines connecting to me. I could see it like a line. Like here I am. Here's this. I didn't even with ayahuasca.
Was it a drink?
No, it was powder. Well, I've
smoked a powder before. And I didn't go very deep, but it was a good minute of like geometric patterns and stuff going blah, 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 blah.
Like DMT is a powder?
Yeah. No, you smoke it. It's like dried into a powder, and you don't need the inhibitor at all for that method.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's only when you eat it.
Yeah, the DMT is smokable.
I wonder what the DMT vape is like. Remember Hans Kim was
I've
doing that?
I've heard of that. It's the same thing, just mixed with a little bit of thinner, I'm sure. Like just how they make regular.
But he's like out in public doing it. It can't be that insane.
I don't know.
I have a friend here in town who
I don't know.
synthesized his own, and he had one of those pens, and he did it all night, and then he told me he fought a 100-foot witch. Speaking of
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah.
With his bare hands?
He actually, his girlfriend, when she came in the house, he told us the story. He came in, he was like all like sweating and beaten up, and she's like, "What the fuck happened to you?"
Where were you guys?
I just fought a 100-foot witch.
I could have used some help here.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
I thought she was going to be the 100-foot witch.
Yeah.
So that's where I think you mess around. You fuck around.
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
find
yeah.
out. Yeah, and then that
If you
shit
go
talk
into it
about,
with
yeah.
ill intentions and distractions and not sober thinking,
Mhm.
then yeah, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't turn south on you.
Remember when salvia was legal?
Yeah, no,
Remember
I did,
you could just buy 150
Oh, yeah.
fucking times extract salvia and like
like 2008 or something.
I didn't really fuck with that stuff. I had a tiny little puff one time and
Yeah,
fucked me up a bit. I didn't like go anywhere. I was just
No.
like I felt really like groggy for like a minute and
we're
saw a
listening
little
to
bit
Pink
of shit.
Floyd, just like whoa.
But yeah, even the music got all chopped up.
Yeah.
Like not just my vision. I was seeing. I don't know. It was weird, but I've heard some fucking crazy stories.
I have. You know what's weird? Just like why that was legal.
Yeah.
Why you could get salvia.
Yeah,
You
but
could just-
then
one of the
weed
negative
gets you
dark
put in
extremes.
jail.
Yes.
Yeah,
But yeah, mushrooms will like get you in trouble. But like salvia, completely legal at one point. I guess they just dropped the ball on that one. I don't. It's
No, it
legal.
doesn't
It's
make
illegal now,
sense.
isn't it?
I
don't know.
couldn't tell you. It's not in every bong shop like it was
exactly.
before.
And some bong shops would have up to 150x,
Yeah.
man. Like, and that's like I had friends that like to do it once in a while, so I loved being around that stuff. And like they would tell me the craziest things. My one buddy, he said, because it never seemed like a fun trip either.
No.
Like
No.
That's
my
the thing. It's a negative.
my buddy, he's like, yeah, it felt like he's like I was like the size of a planet, and there's people living on me, and they had me all taped down and chained down, and he's like they were selling away parts of me. He's like, and I came to terms with the fact that I was gonna die. Like he was in there long enough that he had to go through that. Like I'm actually gonna die. Like, and I'm like that doesn't sound fun, man. And
No?
it all started with getting sucked into the couch.
No, not fun. Especially when you got a fucking wife and kids at home. Like,
Oh, yeah.
goddamn.
Yeah.
Now you want to
Hey man,
experience.
you want to escape or not?
Yeah.
Some people they need
Problem
it.
is, you got to go back afterwards.
Some people play video games for an escape. Some people read a book. Some people
Yeah, there you go.
do fucking, a huge hoot of salvia. Crazy people.
Yeah, I think I only did that once.
One time we were smoking the bong, and right before this guy got there, we put some salvia in the bowl, and then we.
Oh, you should go to jail.
I know.
Don't say this. Say allegedly. Say allegedly.
And then we put ash on top, and then it was like, "Here, it's your turn." Like they took a hoot of the actual weed, then switched the bowl out. Here, you take the rest, and just. And he's like standing up in front of everyone. He's like, "Oh, like it's really warm in here," and fucking, "Oh, there wasn't like that much in there,"
Yeah.
and he actually didn't get that messed up. But for like 30 seconds, he's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were fucking young and dumb,
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah.
assholes.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Nowadays, smoking anything kind of turns me off.
yeah.
Like I don't like the taste or the breath, how your breath smells afterwards, and it's just the bong sitting there on the counter smells disgusting.
Yeah, because we would let it sit there with all that shit in
Yeah,
it.
for months.
I know it gets moldy. We're just
Yeah.
breathing it in like several times a day. When's the last time you smoked weed?
I mean, I'll hit a pen here and there, but I mean,
Would you say you hit your pen every day?
not today, but yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Actually, Karm brought a doobie today. I had one puff off of it.
Really?
And
You're going to hell.
for those that
No
don't know,
more
I
remote viewing
quit
for
smoking
you.
weed like January 1st, and I've been really
Yeah.
good. But
Next time you remote view, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Why are these flames everywhere? No.
yeah. No, now I am going to be able to remote view again.
Yeah.
I think you need weed to do that.
We're
But I
live
think
streaming
alcohol
from
is
hell.
bad for it. We're live streaming from hell, yeah.
Not good. But yeah, I mean, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes when I have a lot of free time, I'll smoke the pen. And then when I got stuff to do, I don't really care.
The one thing though is if you do clean your bong, like just regular,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
It tastes so much different.
Well, the amount of tar that comes out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
but
that's
then
going inside me.
Oh yeah.
But then
No,
the next hoot, for some reason, when you clean your bong, your next hoot is like more powerful.
I know it's like
It's
harsh.
like, yeah.
It's like, where's all that mold at? Yeah, no. Whenever I've quit smoking weed in the past, I just start coughing up. Like while I smoke weed, I'm usually coughing up some brown shit. But like when I stop, it just all comes out. And so I quit January 1st, and fucking for like all of January almost, like every day I'm coughing up brown shit.
Yeah.
And then even in March, there was one day where I felt phlegmy. I'm coughing, I spit up, and it's like, there's brown in it. And I was like, holy shit, it's still coming up. But good, like I wanted to get it out. So, but yeah, even 3 months later, still like occasionally, you just get those random phlegmy day. It's like, yep, we're purging a little bit more.
Right. It's all just sitting at the bottom, swashing around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's good for you to get it out.
Yep. Yeah, I wonder if you can cough it all out, or if you just got to kind of absorb it.
I think both. I think it slowly absorbs, but I also think that, like, obviously not fast enough because your lungs get black and brown. So I've always been one that, like, after a hoot, like, I cough and, like, cough shit up always. Like,
after
fucking
decades of smoking weed, like, fuck me.
But I don't know anyone that,
Gotta
like,
be
coughs up
rough.
as much shit as I do.
Yeah.
Like, my other friends will hit the bong, they're fine, I'll hit it, and then, like, I won't be, like, dying, but when I do cough, even just a little cough, it's like I'll cough up phlegm, and there's, like, gray or brown in it, and, like, I'm like, okay, this is good, I'm getting some of it out of me, right? Like, whereas other people, it just stays in them. Like, they think I'm crazy for coughing that shit up, and it's like, yeah, it's gross, but it's like, no, it's gross if it stays in there. So, I don't know.
It's got to be disgusting in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you remember those Hootomatics where you'd put the bounty sheets in a toilet and blow your hoots through there so your parents didn't yell at you up the stairs? Dude, those things got disgusting after like just a handful of hoots. And then imagine your lungs have seen like tens of thousands of fucking
That's what I'm
hoots.
saying about the bong. You're saying it's stinky when you go to clean it. It's just, wow, I can't believe that was nothing.
I can't believe that I'm voluntarily doing this to myself.
You know what's even grosser is fucking the hookah. We had a hookah back in the day, and we'd like put that on, or we'd get that going. It's like 4 hoses on it, right? And we watch a movie, you know, back in the old place, and like, you know, we'd be smoking that thing for like an hour, right? And then when you go to clean that thing, it's so much more disgusting than resin. Like, it tastes so much nicer. But we would mix like a bit of weed in there, but for the most part, it's like tobacco and like fruit and stuff.
Right.
That resin is so much worse than weed resin. Like I would gag smelling it. Like I can deal. Like, man, I've smoked weed resin. I think we've all smoked weed resin before, and we're hurting back in the day. But like,
yeah.
But
especially
this
when
stuff,
you're a kid living in your parents' basement or something.
Oh yeah,
dude,
you don't got money for an eighth.
Hand me that pipe.
Roaches.
Back when you'd buy a dime bag or something.
Roaches were gold. I would gladly smoke roaches, right?
Yeah, I remember Mark used to save all of his roaches, every single fucking one, and he would only smoke doobies. And in his room, he had like 1st gen, 2nd gen, 3rd gen, and then 4th gen. So there'd be smaller amounts in each one.
He gets home after a bad day of fucking going for the 4th gen.
I remember, it took him forever to get enough 4th gen joints to roll one, or roaches to roll one. I remember when he did, and we smoked that, and that was one of the last times I ever smoked a roach doobie. I was like, this is fucking disgusting. But I was stoked at the beginning. I'm like, sweet, 4th gen, man, we're fucking going to the moon. And it's like, no, it's actually just fucking gross.
We're gonna get interviewed by the newspaper, dude. This is something.
Someone record this for science. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of shithead activities.
Dude, were you the one that sent me that the river hoot with the fucking gravity bong?
Yeah, where he jumps in the water.
You know what a gravity bong is, Karm?
No.
You know, it's like a 2-liter inside the water. And
you cut the bottom off a 2-liter.
Okay.
And lift it up.
Yeah.
There's like a bowl on top, so you go, and then you hit it. Right, it pushes all the smoke back out.
Okay, yeah.
So back in the day, I used to make one called Killer, which was like 5 2-liters. Like I'd have 1 2-liter like with the top, and then I have the body from 4 other ones taped to it.
Yeah.
And I had a little vase, like just a little bit bigger than the 2-liter, so like fit in there perfect. It was about this high, right? So you fucking all the way up here, fucking hit it. You know, it was crazy. Anyways, he sent me one. It's got to be like 7 2-liters long. and they're doing it in a river. He's on a dock, and he like fucking lights the whole thing up all the way up. And then when he fucking hits it, he jumps in the water and goes down with it. Because when it goes down, it blows the smoke out. So he just fucking, as he fucking lands in the fucking, or in the lake, sorry, not the river. But we used to do it out of the river. Matt McCarville, he had one in his trunk of his car, just in case, right? We had one 2-liter in a fucking 4-gallon milk jug or whatever, right? With the top cut off of that. So you could fill that with water. Put the 2-liter in. So it's like a portable gravity bong.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes we just go to Wilson Park and just hit it right out of the river and fucking river hoots.
We used to take a folding chair into the lake. And because at my mom's house, it's very shallow, like 200 feet out, it's shallow. So you could just put a lawn chair in the river and sit up to your chest. And you just sit there. And we were bad kids, You don't want... Yeah. I really hope my girl grows up smarter than me. Yeah.
She'll watch these podcasts and be like, well,
I really
if he did it, then I'm allowed to.
Yeah, she'll grow up in web fucking 5.0 or something where this is ancient. This is going to be like VHS to her, I bet.
Oh, yeah. No, the synthetics are...
Yeah, this isn't even like 8,000p.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Only in fucking 720.
Are you guys poor, Dad?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be
Why do the walls look like that?
Yeah. Is that the 1800s?
No, just the 80s. They installed this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the battle is don't be your damn self around your kid. Be better. Be someone you want your kid to grow up
that's what my dad tried to do with me. It didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Eventually you're either going to grow up or you're not. Like, you're going to grow out of those things or you're not.
Yeah, and you're never going to shield your kid from the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what you can do is not give your kid a beer at fucking 10 or something, right? Like,
you're not going to let your girl taste a beer when she's 10?
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with tasting or I don't want to demonize anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, no, you don't do this or about
do
anything because that's what's going to drive them to doing that.
Yeah.
But to be like my mom would have parties and shit and not give me beer, but like there's a whole bunch of people drinking around. You're going to grow up thinking those are the cool kids.
See, every once in a while, my parents, they would have like a party. Now that I look back on it, I never really thought of it much of that, but they'd be upstairs with the other adults. All the kids would be downstairs. We weren't really allowed. Like, we could go upstairs for this and that. It's not like we weren't allowed up there, but we were supposed to stay downstairs. And looking back, they were probably having drinks and having fun, but that was like...
But not in front of you.
But like, and not like all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that was like a fucking... maybe twice a year, 3 times a year kind of thing. It wasn't like every weekend.
That's
my parents were not partiers by any means. I remember one time when I was, I must have been in grade 3. My dad had this guy come over, one of his friends that he didn't see all the time, and my dad pulls out these bowls, like the cereal bowls, and he's like smoking with this guy in the house. My dad, I'd never seen him smoke in my life at this point, and he's fucking smoking with this guy, and like, it's like this certain person came over. My dad's like, yeah, we're smoking and in the house today. Fucking.
Wow.
I'm in grade 3. This is probably like 94, 95, something like that. And like, it's funny. I bring it up to my dad. He doesn't even remember because it was like this one-off thing. And like this guy that would come over, he would always like bring Sega games and be like, yeah, I rented a Sega game for you. Like, here you go. And I'd just be playing. Him and my dad be smoking, talking business. And I'm like... the fuck? Like, looking back on it, I'm like, that's the only time I ever saw my dad smoke. He smoked before he had me, but after he had me, he quit. And then that one time, it's like, they got to let loose once in a while, right? Yeah. But he's using the cereal bowls as a fucking ashtray. Like,
and you never know which one of these times is going to be burnt into the kid's memory forever.
That one.
Like, there was probably 100 other things that happened that you just don't quite remember.
Yeah.
But then that one's burnt, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's scary raising a kid. It's like you don't want to take one wrong step, but you got to keep walking forward.
Yep, you just got to do it.
Yeah. I'm so new to it. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a retrospective thing that you explain, not an in the moment thing that you explain to people.
I think as long as you're trying to do your best, that's all that matters. Like, a lot of people aren't actually trying to do their best, and they don't take it as seriously. And those are the
they're
fuck
worrying
up
about
parents.
Themselves more than the kid. I think if you're going to have a kid, or even if you don't want to, but you just had a kid, get over yourself.
Yeah.
Like, stop worrying about you more than the kid, right? Like, you're going to die soon.
Yeah.
This
like,
kid's got to grow up and become something.
I think if you have a kid, your ego has to die for the most part. Like, you know, that's when people stop caring about, like, how they look as much and things like that. And, like, they'll go out of their way to do things maybe they wouldn't do before just for their kid. And, like, you know, yeah, I think your ego does have to die a bit when you have a child and, like, focus on them. I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think most people in their early adulthood are pretty narcissistic. I think it's just an inherent trait that, like, you know, you want to work out so that you could look good, so that you could get hot girls, and that you can actually perform athletically and stuff. And then at the end of the day, all that is just thinking me. I need to be the best, right? Whereas eventually, not everybody gives that up.
No.
Some people need that or else they crumble, right? And then that's when you raise a shitty kid, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as you're not putting them first,
yeah,
you know, they're going to be shitty. I think anyone who doesn't put their kid first, but then I think you can also put your kid first too much and try to shelter them from the world, try to shelter them from everything that you think is bad and spoil them. I think you can also go too far with that too. So there is a balance.
There's a balance. I think that's also a part of narcissism, is if you over worry about every little thing, it's almost like my kid can't be, you know, a drug addict or working at blah, blah, blah. Well, that's also narcissism. You're worrying about your public image and how it reflects on, like, no, worry about the kid.
Yeah.
See what they want to do. See, like, you know, no matter how hard you try, some kids are just going to grow up to like drinking alcohol.
And, like, I guess what I was kind of getting at is you take, like, fucking millionaires, for example. Some of them are like, you know, my kid's not getting anything. They got to work for their own shit. And then other ones are like, my kid's never going to have to work a day in his life. And it's like, those are the kids that turn out shitty.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and the shitty thing is they're rich and shitty. they get to drive the nice cars. Those are the people that fucking cause problems in this world, in my opinion.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just such a fine line to walk. Like, you want your kid to be the most successful person in the world, but if they don't want to get up and work that hard, then you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you need to get to know them.
So, what conspiracy theories are you going to teach little Alexis?
My girl, she already knows the moon's hollow.
All right. Yeah, that's a start.
Yeah.
Karm and I were talking about a few things earlier that we wrote down.
Go ahead.
Did you write anything down, Karm?
I didn't. We originally were planning on getting a friend on who's he works at the college. He's written several books on history, and he studies, like, architecture, and clearly there's a lying about
Tartaria.
Everything. It's a lot about Tartaria. Yeah. If you look at it and you study, it's like, what, they're 100% is a lie.
There was a boom in architectural excellence, and then it just kind of went away.
For about 1,000 years?
Well, they not even just that, but they just won't teach you anything over 200 years ago.
Yes.
But isn't it interesting
it's like it doesn't
that,
exist. It's like we're all cavemen 200 years ago.
Yeah.
So before,
that's what they want to push. Remember I was talking about the arrowheads and the...
Well, before the Renaissance, like the Dark Ages, we're told that, like, there's about 1,000 years of Dark Ages where we don't have any history. Barbarians were just running around killing each other. There's not really much to be said between, like, 500 and, like, 1,500.
Well, there's a whole crusade. Like, there was a lot going on. It's just they burnt the libraries, right? They
Yeah, but what year did the crusade happen?
1100.
1100, okay.
1100 something.
But there's just there's spans of, like, nothing, it seems.
Oh yeah, and there is, and like I said, they've burnt records. They go through, and the church decides what's going to be taught from here on forth.
Yeah, but that's when this fellow, if we ever get him down to that's one of the main things, is the fires. That's
yeah. Karm sent me this guy's YouTube page, and he talks a lot about, like, fires in history.
Yeah.
And the things that have been burnt. Just
like we all, talk about the Library of Alexandria, but
that's the big one. Yeah.
There was a big one in India.
Yes.
I forget the name of it, but there was a really big one in India that had like hundreds of thousands of scripts of history and just knowledge, and it was burnt just like that. Nobody even talks about that one. So imagine how many of those through history there were.
And so his
that we
buddy,
just don't know about it.
His buddy, he talks about those.
Yeah,
and like
he studies everything.
Yeah, he's talking about like all these different fires and all the things that they have in common, and like he's like, yeah, so we're gonna go over these fires, and when we're done, we're gonna use our pattern recognition skills to figure out what happened here. And like, yeah, no, it's. Sounds like a big conspiracy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to fill in the dots yourself because there is nothing.
Yeah.
But you need to remember there was a period where the church owned everything. And then all of a sudden the church is gone. There's no more Roman Catholic Empire anymore. It's called the Vatican now. Mm-hmm. And they have a library in the Vatican where you're not allowed to go in.
Down in the catacombs.
You're not allowed to go see anything, especially with a camera.
They got like the full of like skulls and bones and shit like that down there.
Some chambers that are airlocked, so that oxygen doesn't wreck the books or the pages.
And the books that are accessible, you literally have to like fill out a form, like set up an occasion. You have to know exactly what you're looking for from the exact book, and you
not only that, you have to translate.
Yeah, well, So what happens is like you have to know exactly what information you need and what book it's from. And so you get there and there's a person working and they will escort you in to that exact book, open it up to that exact page. Here's the information you're looking for. And that's how that works because they have control over all that information.
So for you to say that there's a period of dark ages like that, it was dark for the public. Mm-hmm. And it's dark for the public schools nowadays to look back. But for the elites of the Roman Catholics, I think they're hoarding all that information.
Oh, and I don't disagree with you, but I was just going to bring up this conspiracy theory. We got Karm here, so this is the night where we let the Karm-spiracy theories flow. So there's a conspiracy theory that like time was added to the timeline. That's why there's the Dark Ages.
Yeah. And we're actually in the year like 500 or something, and they're just telling us it's 2025.
Yeah, well, they say that they added 1,000 years, or about 1,000 years.
Right, yeah.
Like the whole Dark Ages, essentially, which is not quite 1,000 years, but that's what they try to say. And then, so there's some evidence to support it. It's not the strongest evidence, but for example, there's like this one building that has like you know how like if you were to put a number on a sign, if it was three numbers, the middle number would be centered, right? So say it's like 501. It's going to say 501, right? And then so this one, it's like carved out of like concrete or whatever, or stone to say 501. And then the one, it's like it actually says 1501, but the one looks like it was added afterwards.
Later. Yeah.
And some things like that.
I did see that last week. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah.
So did you see that whole video where Buddy
I didn't watch the whole video. I saw
Buddy goes off on it.
I saw the clips.
It was a decent. It was like
a
couple minutes long, and it was like a good watch. But like I don't know if it's
No, that's repeating all over the world constantly. I'm telling you.
But the dates themselves, like there's no corroboration. We just kind of assume that they're this is that date.
Oh yeah, history's written by the victors. They could say it's any date, really. Back then,
we didn't start counting 2,000 years ago. Like it wasn't year one 2,000 years ago, right? It's about 1500 something. The church said this is the year 15.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because that's like the year that we're talking about too. Because it's like between 500 and 1500 that are like kind of the Dark Ages.
There's so many weird things. And that same time is when Christopher Columbus comes to America, and that's the same time the Jews were expelled from Spain.
Jews got expelled from many places
but this was like the last European state that they were expelled from.
Do you know how many countries the Jews have been expelled from?
109.
You know the exact number. Do you know how many times?
How many times?
Yeah, because it's not just one time for each country.
Oh, right. No, I don't know how many times, but I know it was
over 1,000.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can't say that that's a coincidence 109 times in a row.
Actually, there's this video of this rabbi talking, and a fucking rabbi, and he's like, if your kid gets expelled from like 6 different schools, eventually it's like, it's not the school's fault. Like, it's the kid's fault. And then he goes on to relate that to like a rabbi fucking relating that to the Jews.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you know, we've been doing bad shit in these countries. Like, that's why we get expelled.
And I mean,
from
everybody did bad shit. That was back in the day when I don't think it was still happening, but Arabs owned Spain. Like, Spain was an Arabic country.
That's what I was going to say is, like, it depends on what religion owns the country. If the Jews owned a certain country, then it'd be fine for them to practice usury and do all that. Mm-hmm. But they didn't. So it was like Christian or Muslim or whatever. Like, so usually Christian or Muslim. Yeah. And so those are the countries they're getting kicked out of. But what's interesting is the Christians would actually use them for usury to a certain extent. Like, because what the Jews did was they created, like, basically like bank ticket. Like, for example, you could like deposit money in with one bank and then you could pull it out of another bank. So the kings could actually, like, I think it was like King Henry or something, like they would actually utilize that until you know, one day they're like, yeah, actually, you know, we've had enough of the Jews, we're kicking you guys out. But like they would actually use them for those banking services and until they get fucking fed up with them and then get out of here.
Yeah, well, it's a zero-sum thing. Like, eventually compound interest eats up your entire GDP. No one has any money left over, and Jews own everything. And it just kept happening over. Well, I mean, you could say that, but they've gotten themselves so entwined into normal society that you can't just point out.
I think it's less important to point out Jew, and more important to point out Israel. Israel.
But not all Jews are Israeli.
I know. That's why I'm separating this. Yeah. So it's like, it's not like, yeah, sure.
Not even all Jews are white.
I know. So it's like, yeah, Jews may like own every fucking, you know, industry there is out there. However, what's more important is the policies that our governments have with Israel. Like, we're all sending them money. Like, Donald Trump gets called a Nazi. He's the biggest Israel supporter. You know, he supports the Jews more than anybody. And every politician does. Israel has all sorts. Yeah, Israel has all sorts of deals with North American countries, and one of them that just came up. I'll read this out to you. Actually, I was telling Karm about it earlier. Let's see here. I got it right here. So, effective immediately, individuals who engage in anti-Semitic behavior, whether online or through physical harassment, will be ineligible for U.S. visas or permanent residency. The United States will no longer offer immigration benefits to those who promote or participate in anti-Semitism.
Yeah, those university protests kind of fucked it for that. That was a result of those protests.
So I didn't hear much about the protests or what was going on at the colleges themselves, but apparently there's been a lot of anti-Semitic stuff at
they keep happening.
At these colleges.
And not only that, what they're mad at is people coming here on a visa. They're not even American citizens, but they're going to stand up and blockade schools. Some are taking over schools. There was that McGill University last week.
I saw that.
Completely occupied by student council supported Islamic pro-Palestinian movements. That was a mouthful to fucking say, but so basically what happened is one girl was the main scapegoat. She was a Chinese student visa holder that came and was an activist, stood up and protested a whole bunch, and she's been sent back to China. And then nowadays they're going to be like standing up to people before they give them the visas to tell them that.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Which is, whatever.
With all the shit going on, that makes sense. But
it's their right to say who can and can't come into the country. You can't sit there and be like, these guys have a right to protest. No, they're visa holders. They're not American citizens. They don't have the right to.
Isn't it interesting that in
stand up
in
and do
Canada
everything.
We had something kind of similar just last year, beginning of this year, when they created the rule in Prince Edward Island, I believe it was. They created a new law where it's like, if you come here on a visa and your visa's over, like, and you're not doing medical, if you're not in healthcare or construction, you go back. Like, you don't get a visa renewal, you go back. And they protested.
Oh, the Indians, yeah.
The Indians protested, and the government folded
I saw that
people
protest,
who aren't even freaking citizens.
Yeah, they're like, good enough to work, good enough to stay.
Yeah,
was their
that's
slogan.
insane.
Yeah. And I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, Canada needs immigrants to work.
But not as many as we've been bringing in.
Well, that's for someone else to decide. Obviously, like I know very young people that, like young adults right now that can't find a job because everything's taken. Tim Hortons, liquor stores.
Or can't find a place to live.
Everything's taken by part-time workers, and they can't find a part-time job, let alone a full-time job. Mm-hmm. So how do you start off in the economy when you can't even get an entry-level job? You're competing with people 10, 15 years older than you.
Yeah, I would like to say, white people don't stand a chance.
No, they raise their kids with such privilege.
No, they don't. You don't stand a chance, actually. And it's unfortunate. I've been saying this for a long time, even during my election stuff. I was thinking, okay, I got to get people to look at me, so I'm going to make these controversial statements. But it's true. I don't want it to happen. This is going to happen. No. And it's happening.
You were born in Canada.
I was.
Right? And, so you are Canadian. You've known your whole life what it's like to grow up, get a job.
Yes.
Work.
This stuff it's going to happen. Whether I have my foot on both sides.
Yeah.
These East Indian guys, I know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to own every single house.
Yeah.
Every single business. And not every single one, but I'm telling you.
Because they're willing to do the sacrifices.
Dude, they are so aggressive. Every one of them is working 3 jobs. Man,
and living in a house with 10 other people.
Yeah, it's really interesting, though. Incredible. We've had some staples in this town, like Jolly Market and PGI Foods, like 2 places that people absolutely loved. You know, they offered they weren't just your typical gas station. You know, they offered all these other things. And they were bought by Indians. And they ran them into the fucking ground within a year, and now both those places are gone. And, like, those are places that people, like, everybody loved it. If you lived in that area, you went to that place, and it was like a staple in your community. Both gone now.
Yeah,
it's a numbers game, though. It's attrition.
I can.
It's the same Indians that bought both of them, actually.
Yeah, but that's one case. It's just going to keep going.
I can speak to all this stuff for sure, dude. I've lived it. I know it exactly.
Please do. Yeah.
I know exactly. That's going to keep happening. The construction that happened in Surrey, in the townhouses with the grass growing up in their freaking tiles and.
Yeah.
They're always going to cut corners, and they're going to outdo everyone. And everyone, no one just, they want their COVID check.
Yeah.
Their free money. No one wants to work.
Not only that, you want to raise your kid to never have to go work at blah, 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 blah. Whereas the East Indian immigrants, they'll come in, they'll gladly work at Tim Hortons, at the liquor store. Whereas most kids are raised with such privilege that they never tried for those jobs. They thought they could walk into a higher level job as an 18-year-old. That's not how it works.
Well, I
disagree. But you were raised with such a moral standard.
I disagree slightly because, I mean, a lot of those jobs, it's like when you're a kid, you're encouraged to go work at McDonald's, go work at Tim Hortons. I worked at Little Caesars. It's like...
That was 20 years ago.
But no, that's where you work when you're 20. When you're 16 years
entry
old.
Level.
Entry-level jobs. So that way when you go to apply for a job that's like the next level up, you have work experience. Yeah, I worked at this job and I didn't fuck anything up. I showed up all the time. Whereas now, like, it's hard to even get a job there because like all...
I know, like Cassandra has a cousin who's 20 or something. I can't get one of those entry-level jobs, especially not full-time. And then even getting the part-time job, eventually you get pushed out because people are willing to work for less money.
Also, I'm going to tell you, my dad never took one day off.
Exactly.
Ever.
Whereas we want to go to fucking spring break.
Ever. I know the guy who owns a couple of liquor stores here, and they, this is like I'm saying.
Your dad immigrated here?
They did.
I think when
At what age?
Like, younger.
20s,
like 70. I'm sure like my Dita, like he never took a day off either as an immigrant coming here from a poorer country. I think like when you come from somewhere else and you have all this opportunity here, it's like a job at Tim Hortons is going to pay you more than the best job you're going to get back wherever you came from. Doesn't matter where you're from. Like,
so just imagine the ambition towards working at Tim Hortons versus the 15-year-old that we're raising here.
Yeah, I want to say
so much harder.
I want to say something about that too, really quickly. I was finding kind of really interesting. I talked with my brother. The guys in India.
Yeah,
I'm one of those guys.
You look like one of those guys.
Yeah, are you sure?
Yeah, I never had to do nothing. I don't want this stuff to happen. I'm just saying I'm not. I don't want it. It's just my life.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I kind of like it's horrible. It's really bad.
You never asked for this.
Well, I never asked for it, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't even know. You're in the ocean, so you live it and you grow it, right?
Yeah.
I never had to do nothing. No East Indian guy that you see here did nothing.
You mean in the house?
Dude,
Yeah,
the
no.
girls, The girls do everything.
My cousin married an East Indian lady, and at that wedding, you sat your ass on the table, and someone came and filled your cup with liquor. Someone came and dished food onto your plate, and it was ladies. And then you didn't you didn't pick up your plate. They came and it was literally like they were waiters. They were waitresses walking around their house, and you were just sitting there with all the men.
You know,
it's not that bad.
That's why I, am marrying the girl I'm going to marry.
That's smart. I think you're ingenious.
She's a traditional girl, man. And, it's not like it's not about like having a little slave or nothing like that. It's just about, I want to go face all the world's problems and make the money so you can have a good life.
Yeah.
And in return.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like
what I wanted to say with that real quickly was
Yeah.
these guys never work, dude. And they come here. They never work. I did get your head around.
You mean even during like the day they never
Dude,
work?
they never work.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
telling you, they just in India the guys.
Yeah.
They literally don't do nothing.
They're kind of like royalty.
Well, it makes sense because
There's nothing.
when
they just eat your food and
yeah.
that's it. Hang
when
out,
they
right?
come here,
When
they're
it-
not like picking construction jobs. They're not. They it's easy to say this because we live in a smaller town and you can see it with your own eyes. They pick jobs like at gas stations, cab drivers, somewhere where you're just kind of like pressing buttons or driving around all day. Truck drivers, like truck driver is a really popular one now. I remember when I was younger, I never saw a brown truck driver. Now almost all of them are truck drivers.
Well, you hardly have to
brown guys.
learn English to drive.
Except the ones at the trucker, the convoy. But anyways, go ahead.
Those were all white.
No.
Except
Not
for
a
the
one.
disgruntled.
Those were
truck
the
drivers.
what was left of the white ones, I guess. But
I'm sure there were some East Indians.
There was.
Yeah,
There
no,
was
I
about
guarantee
5%, maybe
Yeah.
4%.
They just
But,
weren't on the news.
when we were working at the Banff Springs Hotel, that place is like, it's only immigrants work there. Like, there's no white people there at all. They're all from out of country. They all have accents, and that's fine. That's just how they hire people there. However, when we were there to do flooring, we got emails. They're like, yeah, you don't need to bring too many employees because we have people that'll help you. Okay, so then we need to cut up all this carpet and load it into the van. So me and Dwayne are cutting up these carpets, and we're like, hey, where's like the workers? So they send these two guys, and like 90% of the people working there were Indian, and like they sent two Indian guys over, and so we're like, hey, you have to carry these carpets to the van. They carried one carpet to the van. They're like, oh no, we can't do anymore.
Yeah.
We're like, how come? Well, if we work too hard today, then we might not be able to work tomorrow. And the thing is, they weren't obligated to help us. It was like optional work for them, and they fucking did that, and it was like, nope. And it was like, okay, so we tried the next ones, exact same thing. It was like we just had to do it all ourselves. And
you got to imagine
they like these cush jobs.
when you come from an area that never gets cold and there's fruit growing on the trees everywhere and there's beautiful beaches.
No, they're not beautiful. They're shitholes.
But there is beautiful beaches,
Karm,
even though they go
what's
in
the
and
most
shit.
beautiful beach in India?
The
ocean?
no, I get what you're getting at.
Yeah.
At the very least, it's a tropical environment. There's food on the trees.
No,
dude.
what you need to remember
don't
is
need
they
to-
never have
yeah.
to stockpile for winter.
Yeah.
They can just wait. Same with like Africans. They have food everywhere. They don't need a jacket or anything. They never have to store stuff for winter. That scary time is never coming.
I saw a video on that the other day. Maybe you saw the same one. That's why you're bringing it up. And he was talking about.
No.
I actually don't want to say it because it's going to come off the wrong way. But yeah, let's just move on.
You said
Oh
many- you
goddamn!
said
That
many
was
things,
such a dead end.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to say this. I don't want to have to edit
have
it out.
editing power. You can cut it out yourself.
I don't want to have to edit this episode. Everything else I said, I'm willing to keep in so far. But
Either way, but you understand what I'm saying. When you have resources at your fingertips and life is comfortable.
Oh, Karm's had enough.
You
No,
never,
I don't know.
you
I can have
never
those
try
conversations.
your ass out. You never really try too hard to stockpile resources like we would with something like, say, firewood.
Yeah.
Or food for the winter or something, right? When our crops die for 6 months of the year, you're really worried for those other 6 months. You didn't say that. Someone said it.
I know.
Wait, you want to wait for Karm?
No, we can
Just
still talk.
cut this whole out.
No,
Okay.
that's all right.
Yeah. So I really think that that's just a law of nature. When there's no necessity to stockpile, if a squirrel didn't need to hoard nuts, it would just chill on its back, fucking,
Yeah, fair enough.
And so you don't get this whole anxiety-ridden drive to compete with everyone because there's a scarcity of resources, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't compare. It's not apples to apples, right? So then you take a guy from there and bring him here. It's going to be a culture shock for him.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when you're a brand new immigrant. When you're born here, it's completely different.
What about in the States, though, where it's like a desert?
You'll die.
Yeah, okay, I guess, it's now it's
try
too
to
hot.
try to grow fucking plants in the desert. I've lived in the desert. It's deadly.
Yeah.
In February, you can get a sunburn.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Like it's intense. Here, let me just. Not at all. It's a lot.
One moment.
The desert is crazy. Not only that, but there's so many animals that want to kill you in the desert, whereas here there's only a couple.
And they just survive out there too.
You need to seriously worry about every step you take, every rock you flip.
Every step you
take.
Hey,
finding water.
Every rock you
Finding water
flip.
is a bitch. The desert isn't fun either, right?
Yep. Well, that's when you start eating the bugs. Eating the bugs
with the
for
scorpions
survival.
and shit.
Eating the snakes.
There's lizards. There's crickets.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Cactus.
Yeah, there's cactus. You literally, like, if you're surviving in the desert, you're fucked, dude.
You're eating cactus.
You're trying to. Good luck. If you don't have a knife, what are you going to do? Karate chop that fucking cactus?
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, roundhouse spinning.
There's plenty of rock
kick.
out there. Just grab a rock and hit the cactus and then guzzle that.
Just chuck rocks on it.
Thing is, like, I don't drink water ever, so, like, I think I'd be fine in the desert.
Yeah. How do you make tools when all you have is cactus laying around?
Yeah,
like
you
evolution
find,
doesn't work the same.
You gotta get near some rocks and like smash some rocks.
No, arid climates meant death.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That's why nowadays you see really poor regions in the desert, whereas before it wasn't desert. It was lush tropical things before the climate changed for them thousands of years ago.
I have a friend in Arizona, and she was sharing on her story. They went on this little road trip to this area, and it's like in the middle of the fucking desert. It looks like one of those shitty little gas stations that you see in the movies and stuff. Like the odd semi is like filling up there. Mm-hmm. Then across the street is all these trailers and buildings completely abandoned. And you can go through them, and like she's filming it all. And it's like it's straight out of a movie. Like the like that gas station right in the middle of a desert that like hardly anyone goes to, and then all these buildings across from it. Like not tall ones, just one level buildings. And she's just going through them all. They're all trash. And then you get through them all, and then there's like almost like a little oasis after. It's like all these big trees in one area. Like those big, they look like palm trees, but they're like really fat and like maybe not quite as tall. And like, it was crazy. I was like watching her story for like a fucking day or two. I was just like, damn, what is this place? Somewhere in Arizona, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. And the desert's an amazing place because you just get these random little hot spots, like man-made or natural. In this case, it was both. But yeah,
I've been to some ghost towns in Arizona before. It's like like mules carrying carts around and stuff. It was really, maybe it was touristy. I was like 13 or something when I was there, but it's the middle of fucking nowhere, dude.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah. We're not far from that ourselves. You go to Kamloops, just 5 hours or something from us. That's a desert.
Yeah, but speaking of desolation too, I mean, look, we got like an hour and a half of driving in between these towns too. Like,
yeah, that's because
there.
of population density. Because not everyone's cut out to do this kind of life, right? Most of Canada lives right next to the border.
That's in BC, anyways.
No, in all of Canada.
That's true.
You could draw a line like basically just above the border.
Except for Alberta, they live close to the oil.
The oil workers do.
Yeah.
But some of them fly in. Most of the Fort McMurray kind of oil workers are flying over from the East Coast.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say in Alberta, that's one of the only provinces that its big cities are not close to the border.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, again, in Alberta, the resources are scarce. It's a prairie, right? But there's a line you could draw just above like Vancouver. Most like 80% of Canadians live below that line.
You mean most liberals?
Liberals, yeah. Well, they're all liberals.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, funny.
But that's
all
true.
blue up here, baby.
Yeah.
Because when you live in a giant population density, you need to be more sensitive towards your neighbor, or else it doesn't work. Especially when you have immigration, right? Like you really need to care about the next guy, or else everybody's just shitting on the streets.
I had a friend that I don't talk to often message me like a week ago, maybe 5 days ago, and he lives in Vancouver, and he goes, "Hey, Jer, I just wanted to talk to you about the upcoming election, and I know Prince George is like a conservative echo chamber, and I just want to remind you how important this election is, and we really don't want to see anything like what's going on down in the States with Donald Trump," and like basically telling me to vote Liberal, and I was like, "Buddy,"
because you're the sway vote.
Because me alone, yeah. And he's like, clearly it's really important to him. He's trying to get everyone possible to vote Liberal. And I was just like,
imagine how many of those messages he sent.
I was like, buddy, I would vote for anything but Liberal at this point.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's not even that I think conservatives are these heroes. I just think they're a hell of a lot better bet at this point.
Scary. What's the best choice?
Yeah.
If I could vote for Donald Trump here, I would. I vote PPC.
Would you
and
vote?
I'm not afraid to tell everybody in the fucking YouTube world here that I vote PPC, and then this election, I am afraid to vote PPC because that gives the Liberals a chance to win again.
Yeah, you got to vote. We need to at least get conservatives in, then you can start
voting. But I hate
PPC.
Pierre. I don't like that guy.
I don't hate Pierre.
I don't think he's a fucking conservative. I think he's a centrist at best.
Which is not that bad of an idea. Not that bad, man.
It's
like a centrist is
the best
a good thing.
of a worst case scenario. What's it called? The
best of the worst. I don't know.
I want to share one thing real quickly about
He's just a simple goy from the prairies, as he says.
Mm-hmm.
Is one time there's a guy out of Saskatchewan, Buffalo Party guy. He went up to him and he asked him, "Hey, we know you denounce the WEF," because he won't do
any of that. Which is a liberal tactic.
Yeah, but he won't actually answer questions.
Did you say he won't denounce the WEF?
He won't talk about the WEF. He won't talk about backing out of it. He won't talk about backing out of the Paris Accord.
Nothing.
He won't talk about eliminating this immigration crisis.
I haven't seen the videos where he refused to talk about that. But what I have seen is the videos where he says, "We're not going to the World Economic Forum meetings."
Doesn't matter. You're still a part of it. You still pay money into it.
Banned all of his members from going there. Banned all of them.
Except they all voted for everything. But anyways, I'm voting conservative.
Either way, I'm voting conservative.
Yeah, I am too.
For me, it's just when he's like, "We're not going to Davos." He's like, all my members are banned from going to the meetings in Davos. And like, to me, that's a big deal.
But there's a difference between not going and cutting ties and not sending money.
Yes.
Totally. Okay, I agree with that. But at least publicly not supporting it. He doesn't publicly support the World Economic Forum.
So this is what happened. So anyways, this guy Mark Friesen, he's really famous in the freedom community or whatever too. He's big time actually. So he didn't know who the Mark Friesen was, because he will not answer questions just like every other one of them won't.
Well, it's a politician, right?
No, it's not even just.
No.
Not every one of them. If you truly believe in whatever, you just say it. But
Mhm.
he's afraid he's going to get caught.
That's
saying-
just it.
Mm.
So then what happened is they asked him, he goes, hey, we know you denounced the WF. Do you do that? He goes, yeah. He goes, hey, what about the sustainable goal, the 17 sustainable goals from the UN? Do you denounce those? Which, that's why the WF is created. The big granddaddy is the UN goals.
They're still the mastermind behind those plans.
He said, I don't know what that is.
Exactly.
He said, I've never heard of it.
I've never seen that clip.
Dude,
No.
that's impossible. Obviously, you're not going to see that clip because it's hidden. But
I mean, like, I see a lot
I'm
of the good
still
ones,
gonna
but-
vote conservative.
Yeah, it's our best bet at this
Yeah.
point. I feel like conservative, liberal in this country, I feel like liberals and conservatives are going to take us down essentially, maybe a different road, but it's going to lead to the same path in the future. But I think like liberals are ripping down that road, and the
Yes.
conservatives kind of have to take the scenic route
Yes.
in order to get our vote. And,
But they're still in the middle of the road. They're not to the right. The
No,
conservatives are
that's fine.
centrists at
All I'm
best.
like, as I said, I
And
think
that's
they're going
right
to take
of-
us to
of
the same
Trudeau.
place because
They agreed for they voted everything in. They wore the mask.
they weren't
or
against
everything.
the masks.
Yeah, I know.
Everything.
They weren't
Everything.
against the protests. They never stood up for the truckers.
Nothing.
They want us to back NATO 100%.
Took away parents' rights and
Yeah,
stood
they
behind
want
it.
the gender shit. They want you to
Yeah.
go to jail if
Everything.
you, if
They're
you
like
say that
liberal
your
light.
kid's not a girl.
No,
Not even liberal light.
Yeah, exactly. No, they are.
They were just like the NDP and the
Yeah, if-
exactly.
if
I
we
agree with
were-
Alex that they're more centrist.
if we
like,
were
they are
Americans,
like the middle.
if we were Americans, they would be left. But since we're Canadians, they're our right, which I'm only going to give them the charity of calling them centrists.
Fair enough.
Now, to say that I'm a centrist
That's just
is appalling to me. I believe in right, like get the fuck off my lawn, or I'm gonna shoot you. Like, and if I can't shoot a guy who's breaking into my house trying to hurt my family, then that is a leftist country.
Yeah. Oh, well, we live in one of the most
That is-
leftist countries
and
that there is.
Pierre's
Like,
not talking about any of that.
No.
He's asked about it. He shuts the fuck up. I follow him on X all the time, and all this shit's happening in America. And every time that Trump takes a step to the right, it makes Pierre look like a little bitch. It drifts Pierre over to the left. And people are trying to say that Pierre's losing popularity because of he's being associated as a Trumpian because he's conservative, and people are like, no, he's losing
people are buying
popularity
into that.
because he's not Trumpian enough.
Mm.
That's
I-
my stance on it.
I
I
think
want
it's
more.
both,
I
honestly.
want kick anyone with a visa that's not following laws out
I think it's.
instantly. Kick
Crime.
any Canadian who's
Jail.
not following laws.
I think what it is, he's not liberal enough for the liberals and not conservative enough for
exactly.
the
That's why you
conservatives.
call him a centrist.
Yeah.
But it's like, and to what point does that help anyone? Like, some people think that this is a utopia over on the left. Some people think this is a utopia on the right. In the middle, nobody wants to be there. Nobody fucking wants to be in between fighting about blah, blah, blah over and over again.
Well, I think there's something to be said. Like, there's got to be some sort of middle ground. Not on, yeah. There's some liberal policies that might be a good idea, like dental care for the country or something like that.
like giving free drugs.
The child care, like those are liberal policies, like paying for child care so that way, like when you take your kid to daycare, it doesn't cost you fucking a day's wage.
Those are socialist policies.
Yeah, but they're also these liberal policies.
That's
right
inevitable.
now.
The fire department is
It may be-
socialist.
Yeah,
And nobody wants to live without
sure,
a fire department.
but
We can all agree on that.
liberals are the only ones that are implementing those. So what I'm saying is the liberals want those things, whereas there's a lot of conservative policies that I agree with. And if we're just like the socialist is on the liberal side.
You
Like,
say that, but no conservative is saying let's get rid of the fire department or the police station.
No,
They really like those things.
So-
They enjoy the aspect of socialism as far as it pertains to the close-knit community.
exactly.
If you were ever
You're right.
if you're ever feeding your kids and you're like, "Do you have $5 for this slice of bread?" Like that's a capitalist. And if you're a capitalist in your own home, you're a heartless piece of shit.
For sure.
So now, at the same time, we can't give a piece of bread to every single Canadian. It's impossible.
No, I get that.
Well, it is possible, but the way they don't, I won't.
I think there's.
Well, I'm sure nothing's impossible.
So so that's where centrist comes in. Like the liberals are the ones that are voting for the socialist policies, and the conservatives are the ones that are voting for the capitalist policies.
Yeah.
And so we kind of need a mix of both. We don't want to live in a socialist society, but we do want some aspects of it. Like you said, the fire department, the police department, the food bank, the child care, dental care for everyone would be pretty fucking nice too. I mean, if my taxes are going to go to that instead of fucking overseas, I'm totally happy with that.
Right.
You know, like there's a lot of things that we could
my
cut.
Money and spend it myself.
Yes, me too.
And that's a right wing.
Yes, I think that is in the end.
So would you guys want to get rid of healthcare and then just make more money and be able to pay for shit?
I think it should not be universal. It should be optional. And there should be the type of healthcare we have now, but there should also be an option to pay for private healthcare on top of that and negate. And then you don't get what everyone else does. You get more because you paid more. They do that in Europe.
That's what I think. And that is a centrist policy. That is a hybrid of both worlds. So you have
I can give you that.
Yeah, so you have like the socialist aspect where if you don't make enough money or you don't make money at all, or even if you make money and you don't pay into it, you get a basic level of healthcare. Yeah, which I think is fucking a great idea.
More, you should
but
be
if
able
you
to pay
want
for
the
it.
best doctors and you want this, there should be doctors that were the top of their class that can provide a extra, like a better service, and you can pay for that, and you can pay to get seen right away.
It's basically just seen right away.
And that's actually,
otherwise we're just taking a number like a bread line in Germany.
And I believe Pierre Poilievre has actually advocated for that sort of system. He doesn't want to get rid of free healthcare. He actually advocated for some sort of. He at least mentioned a system like that.
I don't think he's came out and like solidly said anything like that. I think he kind of flip flops around it.
Well, last time I heard him talk about it, he mentioned something. You're right. He kind of flip flopped
something like this and blah that. Why can't he just come out and say "fuck this"? We're doing this and like that. So that's the reason I want a right wing leader, is because I don't want this wishy washy bullshit that you can easily go backwards on because I didn't specifically say that.
Oh yeah, no, right? and that's anyone that goes backwards anyways and wants to play that game is a fucking asshole.
It sucks, and it ultimately stirs the pot for a civil war. Centrism stirs the pot for a civil war because you're just pissing off both sides.
I know what I do agree with that. I think far as the word politics, period, would mean that you need to have concessions, and that means you got to meet closer to the middle, because either way is going to cause too much of a fight. So I can see
well, democracy's a interesting thing. 52% of the country decides what the whole country does, right? So that means there's 48% of the country, almost half of it, that isn't happy. And so, like, if you can kind of get the best of both worlds enough to make both sides happy. Yeah. But, I think when you look into how much foreign aid we're providing, we're sending, like, when they did all this Doge stuff, all of a sudden people started looking into what Canada was doing. So much that the government website, they shut down their website so we couldn't see anymore, like, what they were spending money on. Because they're like, oh, shit, people are actually looking at this now. And it's like, we're fucking like spending money in Africa to like put on like transgender commercials on their TV and things like that. Like LGBTQ commercials in Africa, like stupid fucking things like that. And like that, we don't need to be spending millions of dollars on shit like that.
And obviously right-wing politics don't solve everything. There's been countless examples of right-wing politics going very wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's usually people think hyper logically to the point where they shoot themselves in the foot, kind of like how AI might eventually get rid of humans, because if we program AI to make the world a better place, humans are making it a worse place, so kill the humans. And right? That's hyper logic.
Yeah.
So that kind of thinking can get applied to anything. And
Left
at
or
the end
right,
of the
yeah.
day, it's not what we want at all. It's just our philosophy exacerbated to the fullest extent. Like, hey, you want the world to be a better place? Here you go. But you're not going to like how it gets there.
I think with all these like DEI things that are getting cut now in the States and people complaining about that, and it's like, well, they're getting cut. That means money was being spent towards those things, right? And so why isn't money being spent to just like make those because the whole argument is, oh, well, these people come from communities that are disparaged and they don't get the same head start as us and all this stuff. Well, why aren't we fixing those communities instead of like taking away opportunities for smart people
and sending money to countries across the fucking world?
For sure. I just mean like when it comes to college, like there's only so many spots, right? So with the DEI incentives, it's like, okay, well now we're going to take a person of color who only got this much as far as grades go and give them a chance. And then there's all these people who are the wrong skin color and they got higher grades and not all of them can get in there now and get the same education. It's like we need to be, it's like maybe we should focus on getting that person up to a higher education, like a higher scores. And I think there's money and I feel like there's a lot of things that we could be doing to fix those communities and bring those scores up instead of going by skin color. Like
skin color. A lot
which
of it
is what
too
they're
is
doing.
Our culture, like everyone these days wants to be a TikTok star.
Oh yeah.
Whereas when you grow up in Taiwan, you want to work for Nvidia and make super chips, right?
Yeah.
So then in 30 years down the line, not everyone made it as a TikTok star, but we need lots of chip manufacturers, and Americans aren't qualified for that.
I think we're really lucky that we didn't have cell phones in high school because nowadays kids have them at such a young age, and it's like a portal to the algorithm. And TikTok is famous for that. Actually, in China, they're showing them like videos about science. That's what goes viral. But here, they're like, "Here's a stupid dance. Here's this," and so
and not only that, but this guy got rewarded heavily for doing this stupid dance. So if you just start dancing,
exactly,
you don't have to work another day in your life.
Or even worse things like, oh, this guy pranked someone and now he's getting rewarded. Now he's
on TV talking to fucking the Paul brothers and shit. Like that's what's going to eventually kill the American empire, I think. More like you were saying with the Indians coming here, your dad never took a fucking day off. Like and with our kids, they're barely going to work if you keep this Kardashian outlook on life.
They don't actually stand a chance, and that's actually
they don't stand
a
chance.
Anyone
in competition
gets
wise.
offended, it's just, dude, I'm telling
you,
do
math.
Do not stand a chance.
Yeah.
You guys with 3 fucking jobs, we all hire them, and the guy's at 3 a.m. in his underwear digging a ditch.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we talk to him all the time. He does not sleep. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I swear to you, he doesn't sleep. He hasn't slept in a couple of years. He works 24/7, hustle.
Hasn't had an hour's sleep in years. So the legend says.
Dude, I'm not freaking
right,
joking,
and they're eventually going to, if not become the most successful person themselves, they're eventually going to raise the next generation to be hyper successful.
My mom's sister, they own 40 houses. They work 18 hours a day for about 20 years. They own 40 houses.
Yeah, and not only that,
and now that they own those houses, they don't work. They don't have to work, right?
No, they work still.
They still work. Doing
they're
what?
They're willing to have multiple kids.
Convenience stores.
Oh,
at the same time, they're willing to have multiple kids, whereas American culture is barely having one kid.
Yeah, well, that
eventually the math is horrible for that. Even if we all just stood here and did nothing but kept reproducing at the same rates, the Indians and the immigrants eventually win out anyways.
Okay, I want to say something about
because
that.
of that.
No, actually, you're talking about the first generation. The second generation.
Okay.
I can't interject into everything.
But they're American.
Yeah, but they are. We talked about it several times. They never worked for it. In fact, most of the crime in Vancouver is happening in a gang.
Yeah.
Their parents are East Indian. They got, dad'll give them a car. Here, have the money.
Right.
Dude, they're all criminals.
Yeah, maybe this exponentially doesn't grow generation to generation, but currently,
Yes.
right now, as we're talking, the what we would call Anglo-Saxon North Americans are barely having one kid. That's not even a sustainable population rate.
Do you think that has to do with just the situation we're living in? Like that affects it? Or is it?
I think it has to do with we want so much. We want the biggest house. We want a full fridge. We want the whole place to ourselves. Whereas as a lot of these immigrants are willing to live in multifamily homes, they're willing to work at their dad's job for pennies.
So they're willing to,
right? Like
they're willing to accept a lower standard of life,
Yeah.
which is what I've always said. That's why they're bringing all the immigrants in from third world countries.
Sure.
So now we have to accept a lower standard of
Yeah.
life and become a cog in the fucking
But-
machine if we ever want anything.
all that is economic blah blah blah. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, if you don't have a reproductive replacement rate,
Yes.
you're going to get wiped out.
No, but okay, let me ask you this. In the 70s, when someone could work a job, a normal job, and pay for their house, and their wife could stay at home, enough money for their wife to stay at home and raise the kids, and they could have a family based off one job, if it was still like that, do you think we'd be having kids still?
Yeah, oh, definitely. The
Yeah, me
70s
too.
were the greatest economic time the world's
Absolutely.
ever seen.
So what I'm saying is, like, they've created a system where two fucking people have to work full-time fucking jobs just to afford a fucking house, a place to live and call their own. And if you miss your fucking mortgage, guess what? It's fucking over for you. Like,
And
And
fucking,
you have to put your kid in daycare in order to
Yes.
do that.
exactly.
The
And
true
so,
nanny state.
Right.
And so now they're like, hey, well, here's a childcare incentive. Like, here's a childcare program. It's like, we're going to pay for this. And it's like, so you guys can both go to work and have someone else raise your kid with their values instead of your own. And
Yeah.
that's fucked up. That's
Oh,
why
hey-
no one's having
hey, it's
kids.
fucked up, but it is what it is. And if you don't at least have 2 kids per couple,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to sustain your population.
So what I'm saying is they have changed. When I say they, I mean the higher ups have turned this world into a place where we don't want to have kids. And the only people that are having them are people that are from a worse place than this place that come here. They come here and this place is like fucking heaven to them because it's all in contrast. We grew up, all our parents damn near owned houses. Like fucking most people I know, like their parents owned their house, you know?
That
and
was
like,
the spoils of a world war.
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right.
We grew up in that economy and now we're seeing it. It's
Yeah,
like
but
it'll
they
never
grew
be
up
like
in
that
a
again.
shittier time, and they were able to enjoy the spoils of that. We don't like it doesn't help us to go fuck it sucks. You need to just go. Like
Oh, I
and then
know.
you go
Don't
back
get me wrong.
300 years. What if people were like, fuck, like it was so much better before? No, they just got up and went to work.
No,
Like,
I'm
you don't-
talking about a lifetime that I existed in.
Yeah.
Like I grew up watching it be this way, and now it's not that way, and it's gotten worse. And it's like I'm not saying you don't fucking pull your bootstraps up and go work and
Well,
fucking
it's
still get a
just-
house or whatever.
Yeah, there's
I'm
no
just
sense
saying,
complaining. is all.
yeah, but it's become unattainable for a lot of people, especially when they can't find an entry level position, as we were talking about earlier. And most
and it's
people,
going to get exacerbably
most-
more difficult
and
for people.
most of the people that live here are going, a lot of them are going to college now, right? So if you don't go to college, you might not find a great
Yeah.
job at all. But even if you do, they're bringing so many other people in to come to college. Those people are now, you're now competing with those people to find a fucking job in that field.
Yeah.
You know, these college mills and the diploma mills and the schools
not
and what they're
helping.
teaching. No, dude, it's
Yeah,
not.
and so,
Just big
Mar-
business, just a
Mark Carney just elected an official for his party. I cannot remember his name. He's the one that invented of course, I can't remember the name of the movement either, but I can explain the movement. It's to increase Canada's population to 100 million by the end of the century. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I've heard of this, yeah.
this is
Yeah,
UN.
I can't remember the name of the movement itself, but he's the one that created it. And Mark Carney just appointed that guy as like one of his like main guys.
Kalergi?
I don't remember his name. I should be able to remember the name of the movement.
Edit it in later.
It's
right?
something century movement, the Canadian fucking something century movement. Anyways, so they want to increase Canada's population to 100 million before or by the year 3000 Or
3,000.
no, sorry.
Dude, are you fucked?
No. Sorry. 2,100. 2,100. Yeah. No, I went up by 1,000 instead of 100. Yeah. And so in order to do that, they have to bring in almost 800,000 immigrants a year, every fucking year.
Yeah.
Until the end of the century.
At the end of the day, the face of Canadian is going to change, and that's something that we have to internalize.
Mm-hmm.
I think a big problem is because we were born in the aftermath of the greatest economy the world's ever seen, we think that is normal, whereas that was an anomaly. And most of the world's history, all they've ever seen is bloodshed and tyrannical rule. And we think that the world is supposed to be sunshine and rain and fucking raindrops and rainbows, because all we have to look back on is media, which only really came around in the 50s, 60s or something. And it's kind of like that's our safety blanket. That's the nostalgia. That's the word I'm looking for. Our nostalgia is great times, whereas any other generation in the history of humankind, their nostalgia is shit times.
But it's okay for us to watch how things have changed and be against that.
Yeah.
And that's what we are against. That's why we want conservatives or right-leaning people in charge, because we've watched the left drag the whole economy down. Like, that's
sure,
a fact.
But
not
it's
only
also
that,
just like it was almost inevitable. Like that great time was, like I keep saying, an anomaly, whereas we think that was normal.
Yeah, except no, I think Abu Dhabi, they're driving around gold cars, gold toilets, gold. We have the largest, just our oil, let alone our water reserves. We should be the richest.
Yeah, but they're not a
in the world.
democracy. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
I know, but the point is that it's just a giant.
I don't think democracy is a great thing. It's the best thing that we can think of.
it's the best option that we know of.
You're giving a vote to retards. That is not a good idea.
So how do you find someone who's not a retard to vote for?
That's just it. You need to appoint someone, which in tradition we called them royalty.
I think we're at a point now where everything can be so corrupted so easily.
Exactly.
That we could never actually find a system to find this perfect person, even if we wanted a dictator.
That's true. These are all hyperbolic. These are all like pie in the sky ideas. I just think it's not the best system in the world to give a retarded redneck from the middle of nowhere the same exact vote as a college professor that's actually studied and understands. Like they both have the same exact weight in say of what we do.
So in other words, you'd rather the liberals run the country.
I don't have the magic answer for this. I'm just pointing out the flaw in democracy. You're giving a retard the same weight of voting power as an elite educated person.
Yes, no, I know what you're saying, but you got to understand that the rural areas where these retards exist, for the most
you're
part.
generalizing. I'm just saying there are retarded people and there are elite smart people.
For sure, absolutely.
Let's not geolocate them to individual spots. I'm just saying.
Let's be honest here. Let's be honest here.
You can be honest, but there's also smart people in the rural communities.
That never went to school.
No, they did go to school. They just decided to move to those rural communities.
Okay, so for the most part, though, like people aren't going to school and then living in the rural area.
It's safe to generalize, but it's just not fair.
So it's not fair. So what I'm saying is, even if you are the retard in the rural area, the one thing you do understand is that rural area. Yeah. And you're voting for that area.
Yeah, which back in the day that worked, but now we're voting for all of Canada.
Yes. And so maybe there needs to be not just a federal, obviously we have provincial and municipal governments.
I think
maybe they need the federal, the provincial and municipal governments maybe need to be have more power. And so if you are in an area that's all farmland, all rural, all fucking retards.
We need to go back to the 1800.
You guys can vote your own way, and then that city is that fucking way.
So when America first, when America first revolutionized and took back their country from the British, every single state was technically its own country.
Yep.
And every single state voted for their own own laws.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And I think that's what we need to go
Yes,
to.
that's kind of what I was getting at.
The elites don't like that because then their aristocracy goes away and their importance and their inheritance.
Well, yeah, then all the decisions made at the top don't really matter so much to a country that doesn't believe in that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I feel like if you are the head of a state or the head of a province, like, you should probably be in charge of that, not necessarily like the federal government should be able to make certain laws, but for them to be like, oh, by the way, everybody's paying a climate tax now, or a carbon tax for those who like to be specific. Like the province themselves should be able to dictate all of that stuff.
Exactly. And
they kind of are. It sounds like they're putting in motions. The provinces are putting in motions to get rid of the carbon tax.
Yeah.
I believe.
BC.
No, yeah, the carbon tax did go away on April 1st there. But not for big business, which just trickles down to us. All we notice is the gas price. That's it. Everything else still exists.
But they got rid of a tax on gas specifically, not just the carbon tax, I believe. So that's why that happened. It's interesting what they'll do when there's an election coming up. Eh?
Yeah,
even the
exactly.
Liberals.
But in the center of the election cycle, go fuck yourself.
Oh, yeah. And that's why it's temporary, too. They still have the same goals, the same initiatives. So, like, once this election's done, it's going to be like, oh, here's the carbon tax back to where it should be now, and fucking
Mark
fuck
Carney
you guys.
Literally wrote the book on it. You know, one of the solutions that their elites have is using the blockchain to modernize it. Well, you know what? Let's use the blockchain, just get rid of them. And it could have a government system like what you're talking about, where it would be like, you know, we don't need you at all. If the blockchain is so powerful, let's vote on each individual. You want to legalize weed?
Yeah.
What is that going to look like? In your region, it's going to look like this. And I think, yes, that's the best way to do it for sure.
I think that's smaller government is always better.
Yes.
And I mean, it doesn't globalize. That's the problem, is everybody wants to globalize and make everything a free trade across the borders of across the continents.
There's no way that people living in rural communities should be living under the same standards as people in like big cities. They vote completely different. Mm-hmm. They want different things.
Because they have to, because their lives are different.
Exactly.
Imagine if we're all sitting in a pool, but my pool, I'm the only person in the pool, but in your pool, there's 100 people there. You're going to be upset if people start pissing in the pool, whereas I can piss freely.
Yeah.
Right. So then now we have to start laws about no pissing in the pool. And whereas I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'll piss when I fucking please.
Yeah. Vancouver should not be dictating the way of life in the rural communities that are north of it. Like it's a blue sea above Vancouver. So like what we should have is governments that kind of give those people what they want. It shouldn't be a fucking blanket thing where, oh, well, there's more people in Vancouver, so the rest of the fucking province that lives a completely different life has to abide by these rules and do these things. And especially when it comes to a climate tax. Like in Vancouver, they have the option, they have the infrastructure to take a fucking train to work. They don't have to drive to work. They, you know, and a lot of them have office jobs. There's more office jobs there. Whereas, like, in these rural communities, we're doing construction. We're doing things where we need to haul shit. We need to fucking actually use gas and use trucks.
We need trucks.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, Vancouver's nice and warm. We're fucking way cold up north. How are we being how are we being told to do the same thing as them and pay the same thing as them, like with carbon taxes and whatnot? Like, we need to fucking heat our homes. We're not going to switch to electric overnight. And even if we do, that's fucking expensive too. So it's like there needs to be a little more common sense involved in all this. It can't just be these blanket governments. And that's my opinion. I
personally lived it, and I have my own personal belief. I'm still voting, obviously, but I think it's all scam, massive one. Everything we're talking to. I'm entertaining these conversations. And if Luciano
appreciate it.
I'd be freaking out, but I truly think it doesn't really make a difference, and they got their plan, and that's what they're gonna do in this case too. So do you think they never figured out it's going so extremely far left that the pendulum's not gonna swing back, And after their trillions of dollars that they invested into what's going on to the
I
Great
think it'll
Reset.
always swing back to a certain extent. But in this case, you know, with the conservatives in Canada, they're not so far right. So it doesn't
Yeah,
swing
but
all the way to the
no,
right.
but the problem is, the thing is, that they got their control. They knew it was going to happen. And so they got that covered too until they get to the 2030 agenda or whatever.
Well,
Their initial
I like
goals.
to I like to use history as an example, and I don't know if you'd probably be hard pressed to find a country that's only been liberal for ever. You know what I mean? It always swings back. That being said,
I don't know enough history for that.
we live in a new age
I assume
where
like
there's
Cuba and Venezuela has been liberal forever.
well, Venezuela, yeah, definitely. Well, maybe not anymore. I don't know, since they collapsed, they probably would have voted for someone different, I would imagine.
I think by then it's gotten so corrupt it doesn't matter what you vote for.
Socialism fucking destroyed Venezuela.
They destroyed they were the oil barons and shit.
Yeah, no, their money's useless. They use American money now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, which
because
that's what Americans want.
Collapse.
You could almost make the argument that America helped cause that.
Well, that makes the American dollar more valuable because more people want it. That's the only thing that makes your money more valuable is how many people want it.
But that's why BRICS is such a threat to the United States, and it actually helps countries like that out.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is even some of these like cryptocurrencies help countries like that out. It gives them something else to put their money into that somehow can hold more value than the fucking American dollar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
like
things like Cardano and stuff like that is made for these like shitty countries that when I say shitty countries, I mean like poor countries that rely on the US dollar.
I like idealistically thinking, I wish that crypto solved every problem. But every year our hackers get so fucking good at this stuff that I can just see a future where even the blockchain is hackable.
Well,
one day it might be, but right now, to this day,
it's not.
To this day,
for
it's
sure.
still not.
So they say.
No, it's not.
And they're gonna say that.
Well, the quantum computer, they're saying it can do the billion equations.
This is why there's so many scammers out there getting you to click on shit. All it takes is for you to click on one wrong thing, and if you own cryptocurrency, they have enough information from you to find all that. And but to hack the blockchain, I think is because we have all this AI right now. Yeah. Like if we could, they'd be doing it. It would be a fucking thing.
I don't think they can. I'm just saying that give it 20, 40 years.
Oh yeah, no, it's not completely impossible, but it is like very, very fucking hard.
Those hackers probably aren't even born yet.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We're not at that stage yet. I actually think that too. I think maybe one day they can get to that, but at that level, at that point, everything's fucked.
That's what I'm saying. But not physical coins of gold.
No, but that's the thing is like, what are you going to do? Store a bunch of gold in your house?
That's how it was one point. And who knows if we got to this digital currency point again and it collapsed and we went back to gold coins and we're just getting back up to digital currency.
The thing is, like, if we ever entered a state where like there was no electricity and like all that shit went down, all the digital banking went down, which is like fiat currency and crypto, and then we just had to rely on gold. Like if you had a stockpile of gold, like you are kind of stuck where you are. And in those situations, you need to be able to be mobile. You need, until you actually like form something with people and get something going. So it would actually be a detriment to you to have all that when it comes to survival. Like, so like it's kind of like a lose-lose in a way. It's like you could have your whole basement full of gold. And then when shit goes down, you're like, well, now I need to sit here and defend this thing and stay right here only instead of following the food and following, where things are. And like, it's weird, man. Like, so there isn't really a good answer because once shit goes down, gold is pretty much useless for a while.
Not really.
No,
gold conducts electricity.
Yeah,
gold doesn't tarnish.
No, but hear what I'm saying.
Gold is jewelry.
When shit first goes down, gold isn't useful right away. Gold is useful eventually.
It's been traditionalized enough that I think some people will right away trade for it. And then some people maybe not. Maybe like fucking Fallout bottle caps become
No, it's going to be
currency
food
or
and
something.
guns and like survival things. That's what's going to be traded
but you
at
don't
first.
want to trade your gun for food because then the guy with the gun will just steal your food from you.
For sure. So you're going to trade like medical equipment for food
Right.
and things like that.
And eventually it'll turn into a commodity. It may not be gold. The reason it was gold is because it doesn't tarnish over years.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If you have an ounce of gold in 300 years, it's still going to be an ounce of gold. Whereas if you have an ounce of iron in 300 years, you have a quarter of an ounce of iron.
For sure. All I'm saying is when things first go down, gold will not be a currency. Like if things go down tomorrow.
Why do you say that?
Why do I say that? Okay, so if things
when
go.
It already was.
It's been that way all the way.
It's been proven.
I know, that's fine, but you could cash gold in as well before. So like now there's no cashing gold in. Now we live in a society where
cash doesn't matter.
When I say cash gold in, I mean get something for it. What I'm saying is if things go down tomorrow, there's no one that's going to be like, here's my gun, here's my food, here's anything for gold, because we're in survival mode. And there's no system in place tomorrow if things go down today that needs gold.
There's going to be a giant dark period where it's going
gold
to
is
be
worth nothing.
Rape and pillage and stealing and
gold,
murder eventually when the dust settles.
Yes.
That's when something is going to take
That's
that
what I'm
place.
saying. And so gold is worth nothing until then.
Yeah.
So from the moment things go down to that moment, which we don't even know how long that takes.
Yeah, exactly.
We really don't. We've never actually had this much technology, as far as we know, and lost it, and then had to fucking, build something back.
I think that's probably the darkest period humans will ever experience.
Yes.
And I think that it doesn't matter if you have gold, someone's going to kill you for it. If you have a gun, that's worth more than gold. If you have gold and I have a gun, I have gold.
Guns worth more than gold. Food's worth more than gold. Medical supplies are worth more than gold.
I don't care if you have food or medical supply. If I have a gun, you're dead, and I have your stuff.
You can have all the guns in the world, but your son needs fucking diabetes medicine.
And if you have that diabetes medicine, and I come saying I have gold, and you're like, yeah, give me this much gold, I'll just and take your stuff. Like, oh, you've just proven to me that you have this.
But we all have guns, so let's say there's a stalemate.
The reason you wouldn't do that is if there was a shame society that could hold your name to a standard to where no one else is going to trade with you ever again if you kill me.
Well, that's another thing, because that fades over time. We like if things go down today, tomorrow people are still going to try to be good people. During all this,
good people are going to try to be good people.
Yeah, there's probably about 10% of people won't care. They're going to start robbing their neighbors, but like a lot of people are going to be try to keep that integrity all that.
Well, especially in Canada.
And as long as the longer we don't have power and don't have resources and don't have food coming in and things get scarce, the less we have that. It all fades away. And so it
literally turns into Mad Max.
Eventually,
gold is worthless in Mad Max.
Eventually, it's like, oh, me and Matt probably have more guns than everyone on this road. Time to start fucking, it's all old people on this road.
It turns
we need
into
to start fucking going get what we need.
Guerrilla warfare.
It's interesting.
And it's not fun.
But gold isn't a part of that beginning aspect.
No, not at all.
As we descend into fucking darkness like that. Gold is only useful once we start trying to build back.
That's what I was talking about before with the 70s being an anomaly rather than a standard. Mm-hmm. Even right now is an anomaly. The standard is what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, yes and no.
If you were to just do a percentage of what we know of human society, this is an anomaly. Where we all live in individual houses on a nice paved road where we drive back and forth and no one shoots each other for our resources.
If you look at the whole
it's a very slight anomaly.
Okay.
And the majority is shooting you and taking your stuff.
If we were to look at the world right now, are you saying the whole world is in an anomaly?
No, I think this period of time that the world's in right now.
So the period of time that the whole world's in.
Is a period of abundance. And that is an anomaly.
And it's been going on for quite some time.
Yeah. But because we're a generation that never saw the bad times.
More than just one generation, though.
We think that this is normal. And not only that, we think that we're in a shitty time because the guys before us had it even better. Whereas we've got it better than 99% of humans that ever existed as far as we know it in this.
I mean, we can look back to cavemen and be like, at least we have it better than them.
Yeah.
At least we have it better than the Romans, who somehow built better roads than us.
Yeah.
At least we have it better than fucking all these people, right? That being said, we live in a different time now. So we are right to be like, no, it should be better right now. Like
it
fucking,
could be. We live in a what's it called? When we hope for the best.
Utopian?
Utopia, yeah.
Yeah.
It should be the greatest place
I'm
in
not
the world.
expecting
But
perfection.
that's not reality.
I'm not expecting perfection. I don't like the trend. How about that? So we made it to here, and then we went like this, and then like this, and it seems like it's going like this. And when we're bringing people in from third world countries, so that the average standard of life, like that we're happy with, keeps going down. Instead of, if we didn't bring any immigrants at all, and I'm not saying we should have done that. I'm just saying if we didn't, and we only had since say the year 2000, the same people, we would be like, oh, things are getting shitty. We need to fix things. Fix this, right? We would be fixing things. Instead, we're bringing people in that allow a lower quality of life.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're happy with the shittier times that we think are shitty.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm talking about, is the people at the top know exactly what's going on. They know that they're doing this. That's why they're bringing this many people in from third world countries. And they want to lower our standard of living.
Not only that, the people at the top, every dollar that people like us make is a dollar that doesn't go to their trust fund. And so they don't like that. As much as they might get on front of a microphone and say, we've got to help the middle class. Like, no, dude, they want that money in their coffers, giving to their children. And every dollar that the middle class gets is a dollar out of their pocket.
It's just a business to them.
Yeah.
And Karm will tell you firsthand, Canada is a business, right?
Every country is a business.
Karm's the one that told me that Canada even has a business number in the States, right?
Yep.
Yeah. There's no such thing as country without business.
Legalese,
Yeah.
Well,
otherwise you're just a society.
Well, boys, do you have any final thoughts on all this? It's about 10 o'clock here.
Oh, damn.
We've been going for at least 2 hours. I'm curious on your final thoughts.
No, I really appreciate seeing you, Karm. We didn't really get to catch up too much, but I really liked this, and we should do it more often.
Yeah. What do you say, Karm? You've been a little quiet.
Oh, it's been fun. I haven't really enjoyed it. And
yeah, give us a summary on what you think about what we've been saying and what's to come.
I didn't really say, like I said, I don't really believe in the electoral system. You were in the wash.
Yeah.
If Luciano were here, I think it's all just bull crap, and everything is just false mirrors. And we talked about so many other things, history we keep talking about. But I know through this other guy, the more you look, you haven't done the look. When you look, you're like, wait a minute. Everything you're saying, even all the timeline, we talked about lots. It's not what we think it is at all.
I don't think, and the weirdest part is that the one next to the number and stuff, that we could be living 1,000 years ahead of what we actually are. That's telling, to say the least. The wool could be pulled over our eyes at any moment, and we're just so worried about paying our bills that we don't fucking notice.
Well, the wool possibly has been pulled over our eyes.
Yeah.
Like in the past. Like, history is such a weird thing, and the more I find out about it, the more I realize that it hasn't been told properly. And
the breakthrough for us right now is that Argentinian declassification that said that Hitler lived
that's just the start of it.
20 extra years, when every one of us were taught in school that he died in a bunker in Berlin.
No, that's like and every single one of these stories would how would they not know?
But it's so telling.
Dude, the Bolshevik Revolution, everybody needs to look into that. I'm not going to get into it. World War II is probably the most skewed part of history that we know of. Like, honestly, because it's not that far away. There's people alive that lived through it to this day.
And if they could lie about that for the last 80 years, why are we going to believe anything they had to say before?
Exactly.
And then all these experts that are coming out of the universities, why are they any different than the medical experts that lied to us about COVID? And if they didn't lie to us, they would get their expert status taken from them.
The more you look, the more you're going to see. I'm telling you. I would like to in the future bring the fellow in.
Yeah.
Should look at a couple things before we bring it in, because it's just like there's not even a question asked.
Space is a liquid.
Is there a firmament?
I only trust what I can see and what I believe or whatever. Like I watched Elon Musk. He said, "You know it's real because it looks so fake." That's his quote when he put his car into space. It was a dinky car on a string, and his balloon.
Maybe the firmament.
That's what he said. You know it's real because it looks so fake.
That's exactly what he said. Yeah, and then the multiple times, about 100 times, there's never been a picture or video from space or ever. There's never. They can't get through the Van Allen belt, so
which is supposed to be radiation, which would ruin all film that you ever take a picture.
They say themselves. They're telling you. NASA says we can't do it.
Well, we lost the technology. Okay.
No, I'm talking about the Van Allen belt.
That's
kidding. That's another thing altogether. You just literally can't even get through that.
Yeah.
You know, even as a child, I always thought it was crazy. Like, and I was only a child, but maybe I'm completely wrong. The fact that a rocket needs 3 fucking parts to it that fall off of it just to get it out there, and then when it gets to the moon, it turns around and it lands fucking like this backwards on the moon.
Yeah.
But then it takes off the moon and comes back to the planet. As a kid, none of that added up in my head, and even now it really doesn't.
This is what I'm telling you about this. It's supposed to fly at 17,000, 170,000 miles per hour. It goes like this.
That's in Earth's atmosphere, though. And that's lifting all that weight off the ground. Once you get out there, it's a little more plausible.
Like,
what about any other projectile flying at 100?
On Earth, in Earth's atmosphere.
It would go
with air slowing it down.
Yeah, but why is a rocket different than the missile that you're shooting?
Rocket's like 1,000,000 tons.
It's much bigger, holds a ton more firepower,
so
like fuel.
Yeah, it would take longer than a missile.
It is insanely heavy too, though, Karm.
Yeah, Karm. A missile's doesn't weigh much.
That flies at 17,000 miles per hour.
Not initially. Eventually.
Yeah, no. Right. Karm, if you had a car that was like 3,000, or let's say 30,000 pounds, and one that was 3,000. One is going to get going way quicker, right? Like some of those nice cars, they're lighter, they have a faster acceleration.
Yeah.
So a heavier one is going to need more firepower, but once it gets going, it'll be going at that fucking speed. It just takes longer to get there. So that's what I'll say in that argument. That being said, like I'm someone who
I'm skeptic as hell.
I'm skeptic as hell on all of that. So I'm not saying we did or didn't land on the moon.
No, but that science kind of makes sense in my head to where, when you're out there and you have nothing dragging you by.
And that's another thing.
Yeah, it's going to go faster. The higher you get up. For sure. What I don't get is how do you keep pushing yourself when you have nothing to push off of? Like your initial inertia.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
On Earth's atmosphere, it makes sense that you can shoot fire one way and get pushed the other.
If you're in space and it's a vacuum,
nothing to push against,
and you boost and there's nothing to push against,
how do you get going? Are you just working off of orbits at that point?
I would love to. I would love for Neil. Well, not Neil deGrasse Tyson because he's a shill, but like any other physicist to be here and explain that, because that is actually. I never thought of that. That's a very good question. At least in like on the moon, if you're backed up against the moon,
you have
something solid to push off of.
Yeah.
But in space, to go and like change your trajectory or rotate, that wouldn't make sense if it's a vacuum, would it?
It just, to my brain, it's kind of like you got to point and shoot and hope for the best.
I would think that it would be the opposite. So it's kind of like you'd make more of a vacuum or something. So if you wanted to go that way, you would have something that ignites on that side, and it pulls you that way.
Maybe.
I would almost think it's the opposite in a vacuum, but
I think
I'm
they
no
should hire
physicist. Well, you know what? Nate's doing fucking all sorts of crazy math right now.
Yeah.
He'll be our physicist.
Oh, he'll be up there next.
We'll get him to fucking
Yeah,
do the
dude.
math on all this. He'd love that.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Should we put a ribbon on
Yeah,
this?
that was a good one.
Hell yeah. Well, I had a great time talking to you guys. Fucking,
Yeah.
I think we covered a lot of topics, and we didn't bring up the Jews the whole time, and
They were there, just in the background.
they're always there.
They're always there. They built those rockets.
They're always there. We just can't blame them for everything. It's okay.
No. I think Einstein was a Jew. Einstein.
Except 9/11.
Anything you guys want to say on the way out, Alex?
Love you. Thank you so much for looking at me this long.
Karm, got anything to say on the way out?
Durka Durka.
Durka Durka.
Muhammad Jihad.
Muhammad Jihad.
Yeah.
We've all seen that movie, eh?
Yeah.
All right, this has been episode 2 of the Podcasting Couch. I hope you all have a great night, and thanks for watching.
No, because
Cutting you off.